Chapter 1491. All right. Yi Xian did not waste any more time. He threw it into the planting space and refined it. Ding! Host has made a breakthrough. Currently at LV4 Profound Death Realm. Ding! Spirit of Ashes has made a breakthrough. Currently at LV6 Profound Death Realm. A system notification caused Yi Xian to be extremely shocked. How did the old tree make a breakthrough? Young master, this battle corpse is of such a high level. It helped me make a breakthrough. The old tree could not believe it. Yi Xian was the same. He did not expect the human-shaped battle corpse to be so beneficial. Moreover, it was just a corpse without a beast soul. It seemed that he had made the right decision to come to the mystic moon tomb chamber. Congratulations, master. Bai Ming said after sensing Yi Xian's aura. Let's continue our journey. Yi Xian's eyes lit up. He continued to let the LV6 Profound Death Realm old tree and Wei Zhenqian scout ahead. After a while, the old tree sent another message. Young master, I've encountered another one. This time, it's at LV6 Profound Death Realm. The old tree said through telepathy. Yi Xian quickly found the battle corpse based on his senses. However, when they approached, the human-shaped battle corpse's aura suddenly surged. LV7 Profound Death Realm. Another surge in strength. Although it was only one level, it was still very strange. Kill. Bai Ming did not care too much. He led the group and charged forward again. Yi Xian used his Eye of Revelation to observe the battle corpse. In the end, he found that the mysterious life pearl was at the waist of the battle corpse. Crack. The mysterious life pearl was shattered by the old tree. The human-shaped battle corpse lost the healing effect of the mysterious life chi and was killed. As for the corpse, it naturally fell into Yi Xian's hands. Although Yi Xian did not make a breakthrough this time, he still gained a lot. He did not know what level the human-shaped battle corpse was when it was alive. Could it be that the human-shaped battle corpse's strength increases according to the number of people it encounters? Yi Xian suddenly said. Next time slow down. I'll go first, Bai Ming said to the others. Then, they continued on their way and soon encountered another humanoid battle corpse. This time it was still at the 6th level of the Profound Death stage. However, when Bai Ming went over to help, the battle corpse suddenly rose to the 7th level of the Profound Death stage. It seemed that the reason why these battle corpses suddenly increased in realm was not because of the number of people, but because they would increase to the highest realm of the person they encountered. Bai Ming was at the 7th level of the Profound Death realm, so it had also risen to the 7th level of the Profound Death realm. Soon, the 3rd humanoid battle corpse was killed as well. When they encountered the 4th human-shaped battle corpse, Bai Ming didn't go over. Instead, he watched from afar. As expected, this humanoid battle corpse was only at the 6th level of the Profound Death stage. Only Old Tree and Song Qingxing were at the 6th level of the Profound Death realm in Pat Xing's group. This also confirmed Yi Xian and the others' conjecture. The battle corpse's level was indeed the same as the strongest person in the team. When Old Tree was at the 5th level of the Profound Death stage, his battle corpse was also at the 5th level of the Profound Death stage. After he broke through to the 6th level of the Profound Death stage, he had not encountered a 5th level battle corpse. For the sake of convenience, Bai Ming stayed at the back of the team. As for the front, Old Tree led the way. If we continue killing like this, Old Tree and I will probably increase our level again, Yi Xian thought to himself. He was currently at the 4th level of the Profound Death stage, while Old Tree was at the 6th level of the Profound Death stage. They had only killed close to 10 humanoid battle corpses, but their level had already increased by half. They reckoned that they would be able to break through after encountering a few more humanoid battle corpses. However, just as they finished off the 12th humanoid battle corpse, they suddenly heard some commotion. This sounds like the sound of battle. Yi Xian raised his eyebrows and quickly ordered Old Tree to attack. Through their shared vision, he saw a figure fighting a humanoid battle corpse. As soon as Old Tree appeared, this person killed the 7th level of the Profound Death stage humanoid battle corpse and kept the corpse in an instant. It's that mysterious expert. Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. After the mysterious expert saw that the solution was correct, he took the lead and charged forward, disappearing before everyone's eyes. Who would have thought that the team would encounter him? The mysterious expert glanced at Old Tree before turning around and leaving. Even Old Tree might not be able to catch up with his speed. Young master, this person has hidden his strength. Old Tree couldn't help but say. Yes, I saw that he accurately found the location of the profound life pearl, Yixian replied. He had relied on the Eye of Revelation to accurately find the location of the profound life pearl. However, this mysterious expert was actually able to find it. He didn't know why, but he had a strange feeling about this mysterious expert. Yixian immediately broke through the void and appeared beside Old Tree. Then, his eyes flickered as he looked at the back of the mysterious expert. Death warrant. Now, Yixian could easily find out the location of this mysterious expert. Don't follow him. He's fast and can accurately find the profound life pearl on the battle corpses. There's no meat to eat if you follow him. As Yixian spoke, he immediately asked Old Tree and Wei Zhentian to switch paths. Soon, Old Tree found another battle corpse. Then, Yixian broke through the void and brought Song Qingxing and the other 2 sixth profound Death Realm experts over. However, just as the 4 of them entered, the mystic moon tomb chamber suddenly began to tremble violently. Rumble! What's going on? Yixian and the rest were shocked. They quickly guarded their surroundings. Then, the battle corpse suddenly stopped attacking and entered the wall. Rumble! The wall opened and closed. Yixian and the rest couldn't understand what was going on. Why did the humanoid battle corpse leave? Before they could react, they felt a pressure on their shoulders. This time, no one could fly. Who activated the forbidden flight formation? Song Qingxing cried out in surprise. Originally they could fly, but now no one could fly. Even Wei Zhentian was suppressed on the ground. He turned into a duck and ran to Yixian's feet. Before they could recover from their shock, the ground suddenly opened. Before anyone could react, they all fell. F***CK. Yixian was shocked. Not only that, but Bai Ming and the rest who were on the other side of the void gate also fell. Fortunately, they weren't ordinary people. Every one of them had the ability to destroy heaven and earth. Even if they were hundreds of thousands of miles high in the sky, they couldn't be hurt. Bang! 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 A series of muffled sounds rang out. Everyone landed safely. Yixian also landed successfully. He quickly scanned the surroundings and realized that there were many people around. There were also many independent teams from Heaven Luo City and Earth Demon residents. There were hundreds of them. Chapter 1492. What's going on? Who triggered the mechanism? The city governor of Heaven Luo City asked curiously. Everyone has come down, and there's a flight prohibiting array. How are we supposed to leave? The Earth Demon Prefecture governor frowned as he looked around. He realized that the surroundings were sealed off, and even the open ceiling was closed. There was no way out. This was a huge palace. There were not many things in the palace except for 2 strange and huge white bone statues. Other than that, there was nothing else. Seeing this, the city governor of Heaven Luo City and the Earth Demon Prefecture governor came over. Bai Ming, did you notice anything? The city governor of Heaven Luo City asked. No, we were still fighting when we suddenly fell. Bai Ming shook his head. I'll go take a look at the 2 statues. After the Earth Demon Prefecture governor finished speaking, he led his men toward the 2 statues. It was strange that there were only 2 statues in such a huge palace. He was not the only one. Even the city governor of Heaven Luo City and Bai Ming wanted to take a look. However, at this moment... Those 2 statues. Yixian raised his eyebrows as he suddenly noticed something strange. The 2 statues were not completely sealed off. There were some small holes on them. With the Eye of Revelation, Yixian saw some strange energy in the small holes. This energy was not profound life qi or profound death qi. However, Yixian felt that he had seen it somewhere before. He thought about it carefully, and a thought flashed through his mind. His eyes widened immediately as he shouted, Bai Ming, come back quickly. Bai Ming did not think much of it and quickly returned with his men. The city governor of Heaven Luo City and the Earth Demon Prefecture governor frowned slightly when they heard the shout. Yixian was only at the 4th level profound death stage, but he dared to call Bai Ming by his name? Previously, they did not feel at ease when Yixian was with the team. They thought that he was Song Qingxing's man and was only brought here to broaden his horizons. Now, it seemed that was not the case. However, in the next moment, they did not have time to think about it. This was because strange energy suddenly erupted from the 2 statues. This was murderous aura. That was right. This was the baneful aura. Xian had seen it before on Earth Emanations Island. There were thousands of tiny holes on each of the two statues. Baleful aura gushed out, and some people were immediately affected. But this time, Xian did not see the scene that he had imagined. Back then, on Earth Emanations Island, Jianghu had unleashed a frenzied baneful aura. This would cause one's emotions to become irritable and irritable. This time, however, it wasn't the berserk baleful aura, but two other types of baleful aura of wrath and baleful aura of hatred. This calmness only lasted for a few seconds. A few seconds later, a change occurred. Bang! Boom! The battle broke out. Of these two statues, one was filled with anger, while the other was filled with hatred. Although these two kinds of baleful chi were weaker than the berserk baleful chi, they were still very terrifying, second only to the berserk baleful chi. Once it erupted, it would be equally uncontrollable. Wah, Tianluo City Lord. You killed my little brother. I'll kill you. You didn't distribute the missions evenly last time. I'm going to kill you. Just now, it was your mistake that caused the death of my good brother. Go to hell. The entire place was in chaos in an instant. Although those with higher cultivation bases resisted the first wave of baleful aura, there were still the second and third waves. Furthermore, as the baleful aura spread, many people succumbed to it one after another. D***, it's actually baleful aura. Everyone who is conscious, retreat to the corner. The Tianluo City Lord's expression changed drastically, and he quickly led his men to the wall. However, the Earth Demon Prefecture Lord and his men were all struck by the baleful aura. Although the Earth Demon Prefecture and the Hell Prefecture that Xian had encountered before only differed by one word, the Hell Prefecture was an assassin's faction, while the Earth Demon Prefecture was actually a demonic faction. The baleful aura loved this kind of demonic faction the most. Those who were bloodthirsty and cruel were more likely to be struck by it. Hence, when the Earth Demon Prefecture's men were almost completely annihilated, it started to attack the people around it. At this moment, everyone in the Tianluo City's auction team shuddered. Fortunately, Xian had warned them in time. Otherwise, they would be in deep trouble. Retreat to the corner. Xian's eyes flickered, and after letting out a low roar, he kept retreating. Wah, don't even think about leaving, you black-hearted auction team. You cheated me of 5,000 battle merits last time. I'll kill you. An expert from the Earth Demon Prefecture roared furiously as he charged toward Xian. You're courting death. Xian and the old tree attacked together, instantly killing the 6th profound Death Realm expert. Following that, the old tree directly charged into the rioting crowd and started a massacre. At this moment, the baleful aura was still spreading. If it was not suppressed, even the corner would not be safe. Wei Zhentian, go and block the statue on the left. Xian immediately gave the order to Wei Zhentian. Although Wei Zhentian could not fly, he could transform. Moreover, no one noticed him. He easily swept to the statue on the left and suddenly enlarged, wrapping around the statue on the left that was emitting baleful aura like a cloth. The baleful aura stopped spreading. What is this thing? It actually has such an ability. Bai Ming and the rest were shocked. Fortunately, they managed to stop one of the baleful aura from spreading. Fortunately, there was only the baleful aura of anger and baleful aura of hatred. These two types of baleful aura were targeted. For example, the baleful aura of madness that erupted from the Earth Demon Island would cause anyone who came into contact with it to become violent and savage. They would attack everyone nearby. However, the baleful aura of anger and baleful aura of hatred were not the same. However, once the battle continued, the effect would be no different from the baleful aura of madness. After all, the battle would affect the surrounding people. In this case, apart from oneself, everyone else would be the enemy. This was no different from the baleful aura of madness. The Heaven Luo City's City Lords team only lost a few people with low cultivation realms. Comparatively speaking, they were still fine. At this moment, they had also retreated to the corner. If anyone dared to approach them, they would focus their fire and kill them. Bai Ming, what is going on? The Heaven Luo City's City Lord asked loudly. What else could it be? Someone must have triggered the mechanism. Bai Ming replied. But why is that mysterious expert not here? The Heaven Luo City's City Lord said in surprise. After his reminder, everyone came to their senses. Out of the 4 forces, There were only 3 forces here. Where did that mysterious expert go? At the thought of this, Xian immediately looked around. Previously, he had used the death hunting order to mark the mysterious expert. Now he could find him. However, when he looked around, he saw that mysterious expert. He was waiting behind a wall that was tens of meters above the ground in the north of the palace. If it was not for the scarlet kill mark of the death hunting order, Xian would not have been able to find him. This mechanism was triggered by that mysterious expert. Chapter 1493. Everyone had fallen, but why hadn't that mysterious expert fallen yet? Why was he standing behind the wall? Was he waiting for the people to finish killing each other before he came out? However, at this moment, Xian couldn't care less because the baleful aura of hatred had already spread to the corner. Block the Qi of hatred. Bai Ming yelled. Everyone activated the true Qi and manifestation strength in their bodies to form a barrier to prevent the Qi of hatred from spreading. Otherwise, they would also suffer from Qi deviation. Close to 10 seconds had passed since the battle started. Many of the people in front of the 2 statues had died, leaving only 30 or so people still fighting. However, just as Xian was thinking about how to deal with it, a crisp sound suddenly rang in everyone's ears. Xian focused his eyes and realized that the white bone statue that was constantly emitting the Qi of hatred had suddenly exploded. Immediately after, the baleful aura of wrath in the palace gathered towards it and condensed into an earth fiend. Qi of hatred? Xian raised his eyebrows as he recognized it. At this very moment, the fiendish aura of wrath in the palace had already been absorbed by the fiendish spirit. After the absorption, the fiendish spirit was over 20 meters tall. Its aura was not weak, and it was at least at the 7th tier of the profound death stage. However, this was not the end. Suddenly, waves of Qi of hatred surged out from the bodies of those who had died. Moreover, it was very abundant. Oh no, there's Qi of hatred in the bodies of those who died. Don't let it absorb any more. Bai Ming widened his eyes and immediately yelled. The Qi of hatred from before had been absorbed by many people. Now that these people were dead, the Qi of hatred was attracted by the Qi of hatred and left the corpses. The Qi of hatred that had circulated in the bodies of these people was much stronger than before. At this level, most people had lived for thousands of years, and there were many who had lived for more than 5,000 years. After so many years, who didn't have Qi of hatred? After absorbing the Qi of hatred from the dead, the Qi of hatred had become much stronger. If the Qi of hatred was absorbed by the Qi of hatred, it would probably grow to the 8th tier of the profound death realm, or even the 9th tier of the profound death realm. If they didn't stop it, everyone would probably die here. The city lord of Tianluo City also reacted. While they were able to deal with a 7th level profound death stage Qi of wrath, it would be troublesome if it grew to the 8th level profound death stage. Don't forget, there was still a large amount of hatred in the surroundings. Quick, get rid of this wrath of wrath first, or else we'll be in trouble. Without hesitation, the Heaven Luo City governor led all of his subordinates and opened up a path. They began to attack the wrath of wrath, which had already grown to the 7th tier of the profound death stage. It was the same for Xian. Killing intent explosion. Burning heaven sword art. Xian launched an attack from afar. Although there was something inside that could absorb the baleful aura of rage and baleful aura of hatred, how could it be faster than the baleful aura of rage? Wei Zhentian was still wrapping up the fiend of hatred and couldn't make a move. If he were to let others absorb the baleful aura now, they might not be able to finish absorbing the baleful aura by the time the baleful aura of wrath reached the 9th stage of the profound death realm. It was better to wait until the baleful aura of wrath was dealt with first. The baleful aura of wrath was already able to move. However, it was only at the 7th tier of the profound death stage and its strength was limited. In addition, the humans had the advantage in numbers. Without exception, the attacks landed on its body. Bang! 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 The baleful aura of wrath was severely injured and its baleful aura was overflowing. Creatures like the earth fiends were easier to kill. Like the ghost spirits, they had weaknesses all over their bodies. As long as they were continuously attacked, their strength would continue to weaken. However, as long as they were given time, they could continuously absorb the baleful aura to recover. Therefore, they had to kill the baleful aura of wrath within a short period of time and absorb the baleful aura of wrath. However, the baleful aura of wrath could control those who were still alive, including the Earth Demon Prefecture Master who was bewitched by the baleful aura of wrath. However, at this moment, rumble! Suddenly, A rumbling sound came from the side. Yi Xian focused his eyes and saw that Wei Zhentian had been sent flying. The other white bone statue had already shattered. Another baleful aura of wrath saw the light of day once again. With its appearance, the baleful aura of wrath in the entire palace was stirred up. Enormous baleful aura of wrath also surged out from the corpses. Deal with this baleful aura of wrath first. The city master of Heaven Luo City suddenly shouted. Compared to the baleful aura of wrath that had already grown to the 7th tier of the profound death stage, this young baleful aura of wrath that had just appeared was easier to deal with. Under everyone's attacks, the baleful aura of wrath was killed in one hit. Its entire body exploded and turned into countless baleful aura of wrath. Don't let it condense into a new form. All those at the 5th tier of the profound death stage, use this to absorb the baleful aura. As Yi Xian spoke, he suddenly threw out baleful aura absorption bottles. Those people did not understand what it was. However, when they activated it with their true qi, they realized that the baleful aura in the surroundings was absorbed into the bottles. It was very magical. As for the warriors at the 6th tier of the profound death stage, they continuously attacked the baleful aura of wrath at the 7th tier of the profound death stage. However, the baleful aura of wrath was absorbing the baleful aura of wrath at an astonishing speed. Under everyone's attacks, the baleful aura's absorption speed was actually equal to the baleful aura of wrath. It was simply unbelievable. The humans felt immense pressure. Not only did they have to defend against the baleful aura, they also had to attack the baleful aura of wrath. Furthermore, the palace master of the Earth Demon Prefecture and the others were helping the baleful aura of wrath. The situation was not looking good. Old Tree, kill everyone who is in the way. Yi Xian said to Old Tree. All right. Old Tree, who was attacking the baleful aura of wrath, responded. He instantly flashed behind a warrior who had been bewitched by the baleful aura of wrath and smashed his head with a punch. As long as these people were taken care of, the pressure would be reduced by a lot. However, things were not that simple. Wah! Suddenly, a few of the people on Padding Line's side were hit. They were then controlled by the baleful aura of wrath and attacked the people around them. You're courting death. Killing intent flashed across Yi Xian's eyes. He raised his hand and killed them with a few slashes. Although it was possible to use the Eye of Soul to capture these people, Yi Xian was only at the 4th tier of the profound death stage. These people were controlled by the baleful aura of wrath. It was not that easy to use the Eye of Soul to capture them. Therefore, he could only kill them. In fact, Yi Xian felt very helpless. If Luo's cultivation level was high enough, she could directly use the Eye of Charm. She would have many more helpers. Unfortunately, Luo was only at the 2nd tier of the profound death stage. It was too dangerous for her to fall for the trick. Therefore, Yi Xian asked her to continue cultivating. As for Bai Ming, although he was from the Fox clan, he was a moonlight fox and could increase his battle strength under the moonlight. He did not know how to use the Eye of Charm. He was one of the few members of the Fox clan who could not learn the Eye of Charm. Chapter 1494. Wei Zhentian, collect the Qian rings for me. Yi Xian said to Wei Zhentian. There were many corpses on the ground, and there might be many battle corpses among them. As long as Yi Xian or Old Tree could achieve a breakthrough, the crisis would be resolved. Wei Zhentian accepted the order and quickly collected the Qian rings. At this moment, Yi Xian focused his attention on the Earth Demon Prefecture Master. The Earth Demon Prefecture's team was not weak, and there might be many battle corpses among them. Old Tree, finish him off. Yi Xian ordered Old Tree again. No problem. Old Shu responded. In a flash, he appeared behind the Earth Demon Manor's Palace Master and punched out. Although the Earth Demon Prefecture Master was bewitched, his battle consciousness was still intact. The moment before the attack hit, his vital energy surged out to defend himself. Unfortunately, Old Tree was currently at 6th level Profound Death Realm. Bam! With a muffled sound, the Earth Demon Palace's Palace Master was sent flying forward, just in time to collide with Yi Xian's attack. Bam! Another muffled sound rang out. Unfortunately, the Earth Demon Prefecture Master seemed to have used his trump card. His eyes turned black, and his aura skyrocketed. Seeing that he was still alive, Old Tree flashed over and threw another punch. Unexpectedly, the Earth Demon Manor's Palace Master turned around and attacked, directly killing Old Shu. Ding! The Spirit of Ashes is dead. Ding! The spirit of ashes is resurrected. When Yixian heard the two system prompts, he was shocked. However, in the next moment, he was shocked. The Wrath of Wrath suddenly exploded and turned into countless murderous auras that gathered toward the Earth Demon Prefecture Master. The Earth Demon Prefecture Master's aura skyrocketed again. 8th level Profound Death Realm. Oh no, the Earth Demon has possessed him. Yixian's expression changed. This scene was beyond his ability to react. He had no time to stop it, and it was the same for Bai Ming, who was at 7th level Profound Death Realm. 9 Reincarnation Flash. 5th Flash. A light flickered in Bai Ming's eyes, and he appeared beside the Earth Demon Manor Principal in a flash. However, the Earth Demon Manor Principal, who had used his trump card and was possessed by the Fiend of Wrath, was too powerful. With a single punch, Bai Ming's chest was pierced through. Bang! Bai Ming's eyes widened. He couldn't believe that he was seriously injured. Fortunately, his heart wasn't injured, so he saved his life. But now, things had become even more troublesome. The Earth Demon Prefecture's Palace Master, who was at the 8th level of the Profound Death Realm, was extremely powerful. Currently, only the Heaven Luo City's City Lord was at a similar level to him. Seeing that Bai Ming was heavily injured, the Heavenly Luo City's Castellan immediately acted, stopping the Earth Demon Manor's Manor Lord from pursuing Bai Ming and killing him. If Bai Ming died, their chances of winning would drop by at least 30%. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Bai Ming quickly swallowed a pill and used the mysterious life qi to heal his injuries. Next, they really had to go all out. Coincidentally, Wei Zhentian had returned with a large number of interspatial rings. Yixian immediately devoured the items in these interspatial rings. Ding! The host has made a breakthrough and is currently at the 5th tier of the Profound Death stage. Ding! Wei Zhentian has made a breakthrough and is currently at the 6th tier of the Profound Death stage. Ding! The Ash Spirit has made a breakthrough and is currently at the 7th tier of the Profound Death stage. 3 consecutive system notifications sounded. Yixian and the other two's strength had increased by several folds. With this, they had the strength to face the upcoming battle. Wei Zhentian, take care of the others. Old Tree and I will take care of the Earth Demon Manor's Manor Lord. Yixian immediately gave the order. In fact, he could have used his trump cards right from the start, such as the Bladestorm and Unicorn's Descent. However, he felt that these two Earth Demons weren't much of a threat. The real boss had probably not appeared yet. Wasn't the mysterious expert marked by the Death Hunting Order still behind the wall, watching them kill each other? Killing Intent Explosion. Sky-Burning Sword Technique. Yixian, Old Tree, and the Heavenly Luo City's Castellan joined forces to attack the Earth Demon Manor's Manor Lord. As for the others, they were either taking care of the remaining cultivators who had lost their minds or clearing away the murderous aura to make room for Yixian and the others. The Heavenly Luo City's Castellan never expected that there were actually several experts hidden in the auction house's team, such as Yixian and Old Tree. If they weren't here this time, everyone would probably die. It was undeniable that the Earth Demon Manor's Manor Lord was now extremely powerful. In a 1 versus 3 situation, he actually had the upper hand. It was also Yixian's fault that he was frightened by the murderous aura earlier. In order to protect the others, he didn't immediately activate the killing feast. Otherwise, with a multifold boost, he would definitely be able to kill the murderous aura of wrath and the murderous aura of hatred in a short period of time. At this point, there was no point in regretting it. He should just kill the Earth Demon Manor's Manor Lord first. Wah! I'm going to kill all of you. The Earth Demon Manor's Manor Lord had already gone crazy. Even without the murderous aura of madness, he had already gone mad. The others were all his enemies. Fortunately, Yixian and the others were gradually gaining the upper hand. This was because Bai Ming and the others had already dealt with those who were confused. Now, only the Earth Demon Manor's Manor Lord was left. Of course, they also suffered heavy losses. The auction house had lost a 6th level Profound Death Realm expert, and only 4 5th level Profound Death Realm experts were left. On the other hand, the Heavenly Luo City's side was in a similar situation. However, at this moment, the murderous aura of hatred suddenly condensed again. Disperse! Seeing this, Bai Ming immediately shot forward and dispersed the murderous aura of hatred that had just condensed with a single palm strike. Then, he quickly joined Yixian's battle. The battle between the four great experts and the Earth Demon Manor Lord finally stabilized the situation. Xian estimated that the Earth Demon Manor Lord would be killed by him in 3 seconds. Of course, it would be fine as long as there weren't any unforeseen circumstances in the meantime. Boom! 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 In the palace, the sounds of battle rang out continuously. Soon, the Earth Demon Manor Lord was defeated. Seeing this, the murderous aura of madness that was attached to his body quickly left his body. Swish! Just as the murderous aura of madness left his body, the Earth Demon Manor Lord's head was directly chopped off by Xian's sword. Trying to escape? Disperse! Looking at the enormous murderous aura of madness, Old Tree quickly flashed over and blasted a flaming fist down. Bang! The murderous aura of madness was greatly dispersed by the punch, and its aura instantly weakened by a notch. Taking advantage of the fact that it had yet to condense fully, the crowd chased after it and directly broke it into thousands of small murderous auras. The 2 murderous auras have been dispersed, but this palace is in a sealed state, so we must absorb the murderous auras. Xian did not hesitate and threw out more murderous aura absorption bottles, preparing to absorb all the murderous auras. The murderous auras could be used to refine a higher-grade Earth Demon pill. When the time came and he gave it to Luo, her realm might be able to catch up quickly. Although they did not know why Xian had such a thing, the crowd did not ask much and directly collected all the murderous auras in the palace. Chapter 1495. At this moment, besides Xian's group of 3, there were only 5 people left on Heaven Luo City's side. They were respectively the City Lord of Heaven Luo City, and an expert at the 6th level of the Profound Death Realm. As for those at the 5th level of the Profound Death Realm, there were only 3. Compared to the Tian Luo City Governor's Mansion, there was 1 more LV6 Profound Death Realm expert and 1 more LV5 Profound Death Realm expert. Huff huff huff, this is too scary. Who triggered the mechanism? The Tian Luo City Governor was sweating profusely. He had used up a lot of true qi in his body. If he continued to fight, his profound life qi would be depleted, and he would die easily. Bai Ming glanced at the corpses on the ground and shook his head helplessly. This mystic moon tomb chamber was too scary. If more people came, the consequences would be unimaginable. Moreover, there were those strange battle corpses. If a few of them suddenly appeared, it would be terrifying. After all, battle corpses could increase their level at will, and they would at least reach LV7 Profound Death Realm. Bai Ming quickly dismissed this idea. What if it really happened? I might know who triggered the mechanism. At this moment, Xian suddenly spoke. Everyone focused their attention on Xian. The Tian Luo City Governor was shocked. Who? That mysterious man? That's right. Xian responded and immediately gave the order to Old Tree. Residual Flame Doppelganger. Old Tree flashed over and arrived in front of the wall. He then punched hard. Bang! The wall's defense was very high. Old Tree's punch could not break it. Sir, you should be out now, right? Xian said to the person in front of him. With the death hunting order, Xian could accurately sense that the mysterious man was behind the wall. In addition, the scarlet word, kill, had exposed him. What? The mysterious man is here? The Tian Luo City Governor, Bai Ming, and the rest were shocked. Gotcha! At this moment, the wall suddenly cracked open, and a figure walked out. This person was the mysterious bamboo hat man who held the 3rd secret scroll. How did you know I was here? The mysterious man glanced at the old tree beside him. If it was just a guess, it was fine. However, the fact that the old tree and Xian were able to pinpoint his exact location was a little strange. That wall was incomparably hard and isolated aura. Without a special method, it was impossible to open it. How did Xian and the old tree find out? You don't need to know that. Xian did not intend to answer this question. He looked at the corpses on the ground and asked, "These are your masterpieces, right?" "That's right. I was the one who triggered the mechanism." The mysterious bamboo hat man nodded. "Bastard, who the hell are you? Even now, you still won't show your face?" Heaven Luo City's city lord was furious. After all, many experts had died in the Heaven Luo City's city lord mansion. Even he had almost died here. Fine. Hearing this, the mysterious bamboo hat man directly took off his bamboo hat and black robe, revealing his true appearance. Everyone was extremely shocked because the face under the bamboo hat was actually that of a youth. So young. Who are you? Bai Ming thought for a moment and found no memory of this youth, so he asked directly. Qi Tianrui. The mysterious man answered. Qi Tianrui was a name that was very unfamiliar to everyone. I know you haven't heard of this name, but you should have heard of my sister's name. After the mysterious man finished speaking, he paused for a moment and then said a name, Qi Xianxia. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's bodies trembled. Qi Xianxia. The Xianxia tomb room? Everyone immediately came to a realization. Qi Tianrui was the brother of Qi Xianxia, the owner of the Xianxia tomb room? That's right. This tomb room was built by my sister, but it was after I reincarnated, Qi Tianrui said. Now, the truth of the matter was more or less revealed. This tomb room was built by Qi Tianrui's sister. Although it was built after Qi Tianrui reincarnated, Qi Tianrui was Qi Xuanyue's brother after all, so it was reasonable that he knew some mechanisms and habits. Yi Xian and the others did not expect Qi Tianrui to be a reincarnator. This meant that Qi Tianrui was at least a samsara realm expert in his previous life. Humph. So what if you're a reincarnator? Since the Xianxia tomb room is open, it means that the treasures are available to the capable. So what if you're her brother? The Tianluo city governor snorted. My sister built this tomb room after I reincarnated. I don't know if she died or reincarnated, but since I'm here, no one can take away the treasures here. Qi Tianrui's eyes flickered with killing intent. You! The Tianluo city governor also emitted a murderous intent. If it weren't for Qi Tianrui, the city governor's mansion would not have lost so many people. Humph, you're just a LV7 profound death realm expert. You're just an ant in front of me. If it were me in my previous life, you wouldn't even be qualified to serve me tea. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? You must be tired of living. Qi Tianrui said coldly. A reincarnation realm expert was indeed very powerful, at least 100 times stronger than the Tianluo city governor, who was at LV7 profound death realm. However, that was only in his previous life. Wasn't Qi Tianrui at LV7 profound death realm now? If you're so powerful, why do you need to resort to such means to reincarnate? Reincarnator? You're just a piece of *T. The Tianluo city governor sneered. What did you say? Qi Tianrui was furious and looked like he was about to attack. Although he was only at LV7 profound death realm, which was the same as the Tianluo city governor, he had awakened. How could his combat strength be compared to ordinary people? Humph, I'm just here to see how powerful a reincarnator is. The Tianluo city governor snorted and said to Yi Xian and the others, please don't attack. Yi Xian originally wanted to besiege Qi Tianrui, but after hearing the Tianluo city governor's words, he decided to go along with it. Challenging a reincarnator at the same level was extremely arrogant. Newborn calves are truly fearless. Qi Tianrui snorted and jumped down, charging toward the Tianluo city governor. In fact, the Tianluo city governor had also inhaled some of the evil qi of wrath and evil qi of hatred, but he was not confused yet. Therefore, he hated Qi Tianrui to the core. In the blink of an eye, the two exchanged blows. The Tianluo city governor had already fought a battle, so both his true qi and life and death mystic qi were consumed. In addition, his opponent was a reincarnator, so the Tianluo city governor was sent flying with one punch. Mystic Moon Samsara Slash. Qi Tianrui did not plan to fight the Tianluo city governor for too long, so he directly used his trump card. Chapter 1496. Instant kill. Only 1 second had passed since the beginning of the battle. How could Qi Tianrui be so powerful? City Lord. When the 6th level profound death stage experts from the city governor's estate saw the fall of the city governor, they couldn't help but widen their eyes and cry out in surprise. They were both 7th LV profound death realm experts, but why was the gap between them so huge? Yi Xian, who had fought with reincarnators many times, knew that reincarnators were not easy to deal with. The city lord of Tianluo city was courting death. Yi Xian had expected that the city lord would be instantly killed by Qi Tianrui. Qi Tianrui put away the city lord's interspatial ring and turned to face Yi Xian and the others. See. This is the result of his ignorance. What do you want? Bai Ming asked with glinting eyes. You must be from the Bai family of 100 Fox Manor. Leave, Qi Tianrui said to Bai Ming. Although he was a Samsara realm expert in his previous life, he was not worth mentioning in the eyes of 100 Fox Manor. There was no need for him to provoke such a powerful enemy. Ha ha. Bai Ming smiled faintly and said, "You're just a Samsara realm expert. It's not like I haven't seen one before. Besides, you're only at 7th LV Profound Death Realm. Don't be so ungrateful. You can't handle a 7th LV Profound Death Realm expert. I'll give you 3 seconds to get lost," Qi Tianrui said impatiently. "If that's the case, I'll see what you can do." Bai Ming snorted. But before he could finish his words, Qi Tianrui interrupted. "No need, let's fight together." Yi Xian did not hesitate and sent a voice transmission to Old Tree. "Kill." This reincarnator Qi Tianrui was too arrogant, but he was not that powerful because he had to rely on others to kill the 2 earth demons. There was no suspense in this battle at all. The Old Tree was currently at the 7th tier of the Profound Death Realm. Just like Qi Tianrui, the reincarnator, the Old Tree alone could probably take on Qi Tianrui, let alone Yi Xian and the others. Previously, the city lord of Tianluo City was courting death when he challenged Qi Tianrui one-on-one. Now, Qi Tianrui was also courting death when he fought against so many people. Residual flame. After receiving Yi Xian's instructions, the Old Tree immediately created 2 residual flame clones, one on the left and one behind Qi Tianrui. Then he quickly changed his position and punched out. Although Qi Tianrui was behind the wall just now, he hadn't seen the Old Tree fight, so he was a little shocked. However, he was still a true reincarnator, so it was unlikely that he would be killed instantly. Bang! Qi Tianrui turned around and threw a punch at the Old Tree's fist. Immediately, the mysterious death Qi and the Old Tree's genuine Qi collided. To Qi Tianrui's disbelief, he was evenly matched with the Old Tree. Who was he? Even the city lord of Tianluo City, who was at the 7th tier of the Profound Death Realm, couldn't block his punch. How could this bald old man do it? At this moment, Qi Tianrui vaguely felt that he might have been careless. Moonlight Slash. Bai Ming, who was also at the 7th tier of the Profound Death Realm, had already rushed in front of him. With a slash of his long sword, a white crescent slash broke through the air. Bai Ming was a member of the Bai family in 100 Fox Villa. Although he wasn't a top genius, he was pretty good. After all, he was only 1,000 years old, so his strength couldn't be measured by normal standards. Mystic Moon Samsara Slash. Qi Tianrui attacked again, but surprisingly, this move didn't meet Bai Ming's Moonlight Slash. Instead, it brushed past the Moonlight Slash. Just now, he had used this move to kill the city lord of Tianluo City. Bai Ming wasn't stupid. He had seen it once, so he couldn't fall for the same move. He hurriedly dodged. However, this move wasn't as simple as he thought it would be. After the Mystic Moon Samsara Slash turned back and was dodged by Bai Ming, it changed its direction again and followed Bai Ming. This was a tracking skill. Nice superpower. In the distance, Yi Xian looked on enviously. Unfortunately, he couldn't copy this move with the Eye of Revelation. Since Old Tree and Bai Ming had already attacked, he couldn't hold back. Although his realm was 2 levels lower than Qi Tianrui's, he could help from afar. Killing Intent Explosion. Sky-Burning Sword Technique. His attack wasn't any weaker than the others. At the same time, Song Qingxing and the other 3 martial artists at the 6th tier of the Profound Death Realm also attacked. Humph! The reincarnator and Qi Tianrui snorted. No one knew what they meant. Qi Tianrui regretted underestimating Yi Xian and the others. Bai Ming and the others were fine, but the Old Tree was a little more difficult to deal with. His attack power wasn't weak, and he could change his position. It was disgusting. You forced me to do this. Go to hell. Qi Tianrui suddenly felt something was wrong. He directly used the strongest move he could currently use. Samsara Gale Slash. The true Qi in Qi Tianrui's body surged. In the next moment, with his body as the center, numerous terrifying slashes burst out. All of them were crescent moon Samsara slashes under his control. In an instant, more than a dozen slashes swept out toward everyone. Damn! Is he using his ultimate move? Yi Xian was shocked. Fortunately, his attack power wasn't weak, and Qi Tianrui didn't take him seriously. Therefore, only one crescent moon Samsara slash was sent toward him. Killing Intent Explosion. Sky-Burning Sword Technique. Boom. The crescent moon Samsara Slash was defeated, but the others weren't so lucky. Song Qingxing, the owner of the auction house, joined forces with the other two experts at the 6th tier of the Profound Death Realm, and burned their lives to survive. As for the other martial artists at the 5th tier of the Profound Death Realm, they were all dead. Oh no! Bai Ming raised his eyebrows. After killing the others, the crescent moon Samsara Slashes swept toward Yi Xian and the others. There were more than a dozen of them. How could Yi Xian block them? Don't underestimate me. Yi Xian didn't panic and quickly attacked. At the same time, Old Tree flashed back and used the Raging Inferno Shield to save Song Qingxing and the others. Bang! 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 After absorbing 3 crescent moon Samsara Slashes, the Raging Inferno Shield couldn't withstand it and exploded. The power of the explosion wasn't weak, and it scattered the remaining crescent moon Samsara Slashes. Song Qingxing and the others survived because of this. You're quite capable. Let's see how many rounds you can last. Qi Tianrui said coldly and prepared to use another round of Samsara Gale Slash. I didn't want to use it, but you asked for it. At this moment, Yi Xian's eyes flashed. He decided to use his strongest trump card, Unicorn Descent. Before Qi Tianrui could make a move, a huge flaming hoof slammed down on him. What? Chapter 1497. Qi Tianrui was about to launch the second round of attacks. Now that he was hit, his genuine qi was in chaos, which worsened his injuries. Before he could react, the second Qilance descent was formed again and mercilessly slammed down on him. Qi Tianrui, who was seriously injured, looked up at the flaming hoof with a desperate expression. He didn't know who had used this move. Was it Bai Ming? However, Bai Ming was still in a state of shock. Obviously not. He was very strong, but he didn't use his full strength. After all, Yi Xian had never failed to use this move. Boom! The second flaming hoof fell and killed Qi Tianrui in an instant. Ding! The host's killing intent has increased. A system notification sounded, proving that Qi Tianrui was dead. Yi Xian didn't want to use it at first because he felt strange. Maybe things weren't that simple, so he wanted to keep it. However, if he didn't use it now, it would be difficult to deal with Qi Tianrui. Mo Shui, Nailan Bing, and Nailan Jia, who Yi Xian had met before, couldn't be considered as reincarnators. They were only in the profound life realm. Qi Tianrui was a real reincarnator. He had reincarnated himself. In comparison, Mo Shui and the other two were like ants. He's dead. Bai Ming and the others were stunned when they saw Qi Tianrui's burnt body. They didn't react until the old tree brought the interspatial rings back to Yi Xian. Yi Xian took the 2 interspatial rings, but there weren't many good things inside. However, they helped Wei Zhentian break through to the 7th tier of the Profound Death Realm. Qi Tianrui reincarnated himself and might have given his things to his sister, Qi Xianyue. Qi Xianyue might be the one who built this tomb. Their things might be here. Yi Xian thought to himself. However, when a reincarnator died, there would be some strange phenomena. For example, the Eye of Reincarnation. As soon as he thought of this, an Eye of Reincarnation appeared in the sky above the palace. He wondered who the Eye of Samsara represented. Was it the Fox of Samsara, the Master of Samsara City, or the Samsara Venerable? After the Eye of Reincarnation appeared, it directly absorbed the strand of reincarnation will. Then, the other 2 Eyes of Reincarnation appeared one after another. Reincarnation Supremacy. You're quite fast this time. The voice of the Samsara City Lord rang out. This time, they did not conjure up any illusions. Humph! The Eye of Reincarnation that appeared first let out a cold snort and then disappeared. It turned out that Reincarnation Supremacy was the first to arrive. It's you again. Young man, we seem to be fated. Samsara City Master could not help but ask after Samsara Supremacy left. Greetings. Seniors. Yi Xian hurriedly greeted him. Well, I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first. Samsara City Master did not waste any more time and left directly. In the end, only the Eye of Reincarnation of the Fox of Reincarnation was left. At this moment, Yi Xian called Luo Luo out from the planting space and asked her to meet the Fox of Reincarnation. Yi Xian did not communicate with Luo Luo beforehand, so she was a little confused. Before she could react, she said directly, "Young master, what happened just now?" The base of the life and death plate kept on shaking. What? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. The base of the life and death plate had always been fine. Luo was also using the base of the life and death plate to refine the mystic life qi and mystic death qi. Why would there be a sudden change? However, he would talk about this later. Greetings, Villa Master. Bai Ming suddenly greeted him respectfully. At this moment, the Eye of Reincarnation had already conjured up a beautiful figure. It was the lady from the other day. You've leveled up quite quickly, the lady said in surprise. She remembered that the last time she saw Yi Xian and Luo were only on the immortality realm. Now, both of them had suddenly leveled up to the mystic death realm. This was unbelievable. After all, it had only been a short while. At this rate, it would not take long for them to reach the samsara realm. How terrifying! Even the reincarnation fox could not achieve this speed when he was cultivating. Thank you for your compliment, Senior, Yi Xian said respectfully. The lady nodded slightly. Then, her gaze landed on Luo as she said, Do you want to follow me or continue to stay by his side and rely on your own strength to reach the 100 Fox Manor? Luo was stunned when she heard this. She hesitated. After finding out that she was a reincarnator, she was very curious about her past life. However, the reincarnation fox seemed to only want to take her away. She did not want to leave Yi Xian, so she was hesitant. Yi Xian did not know what Luo would choose, but it did not matter. It would not matter if Luo followed the reincarnation fox to the 100 Fox Manor. After all, he would be able to reach the 100 Fox Manor soon. Luo thought for a moment and replied, Young Master and I will go to the 100 Fox Manor. All right, I'll wait for you. Also, this tomb is not as simple as you think. Be careful. The lady did not insist. She disappeared immediately. Farewell, Manor Master, Bai Ming said respectfully. Song Qingxing already knew Yi Xian's identity, but the other two 6th-tier profound death realm martial artists did not. When they saw that Yi Xian and Luo knew the reincarnation fox, they were so scared that they almost peed their pants. Who was the reincarnation fox? He was one of the 3 overlords of the land of reincarnation. However, the last words of the fox of samsara before it left surprised Yi Xian. The tomb was not that simple? Could it be that there were other dangers? If Senior Reincarnation Fox said so, then there must be. Be careful, Yi Xian thought to himself. He sent Luo to the planting space so that she could continue to cultivate. My lord, we are now. After the reincarnation fox left, Bai Ming flashed to Yi Xian's side and waited for instructions. We should be able to get out from there, but... Yi Xian glanced at the door that Qi Tianrui had come out from. Then, a gust of true energy gushed out and cleared a piece of the ground. There were 2 mechanisms under the 2 broken bone statues. They had not noticed them when they were fighting, but Yi Xian had noticed them after the reincarnation fox's reminder. He did not know what these 2 mechanisms would activate. If you want to leave, you can leave now, Yi Xian said to Bai Ming, Song Qingxing, and Luo. This, Bai Ming, Song Qingxing, and the other 2 6th-tier profound death realm martial artists looked at each other. The 2 earth fiends had almost killed them. Then, a reincarnation traveler appeared and killed them until they were the only ones left. How could he leave now that he had come this far? I'll stay, Song Qingxing, the owner of the auction house, said directly. Me too. Me too. Chapter 1498. I will stay to protect you, my lord, Bai Ming said firmly. Although one of them was from the Tianluo City's city governor's mansion, it was useless for him to stay since the Tianluo city governor was dead. However, he was determined to stay after knowing that Yi Xian was related to the reincarnation fox. If he could build a good relationship with Yi Xian, his future would be bright. All right, since you are not leaving, I will activate the mechanism. Yi Xian stopped persuading them. If there was any danger, he could just break open the void and leave. Activating the mechanism might be dangerous, so they retreated to a corner and let Wei Zhentian and the old tree open the door. The 2 of them stood in position and waited for Yi Xian's instructions. Activate, Yi Xian said after he was ready. Kacha! Kacha! The 2 mechanisms were activated at the same time. Immediately after, the entire palace rumbled. The center of the palace suddenly split open, and a huge stone coffin rose from it. Is this the coffin of the Samsara realm elite, Xianxia? Bai Ming said in surprise. If that was the case, there might be something in it that belonged to Xianxia when she was alive. Of course, Xianxia could also be reincarnated. However, after she reincarnated, her physical body was considered dead. However, Yi Xian felt that something was wrong. Young master, there is no other movement. Should we open the stone coffin? The old tree asked curiously. Yi Xian waited for a while before he nodded and said, "Open it." The old tree and Wei Zhentian followed Yi Xian's order and pried open the lid of the stone coffin. However, at this moment, a powerful mysterious death aura suddenly erupted from the coffin. Wei Zhentian and the old tree accidentally touched the aura and were instantly burned to ashes. Ding! Wei Zhentian is dead. Ding! Spirit of Ashes is dead. Ding! Wei Zhentian is resurrected. Ding! Spirit of Ashes is resurrected. For system notifications sounded out in a row. Yi Xian was completely stupefied. Wei Zhentian and the old tree had only come into contact with a little of it, and they were instantly killed. Just how powerful was this mysterious death qi? What's in here? Yi Xian asked in shock. No, I didn't see anything. The old tree shook his head. That made sense. His vision was shared with Yi Xian, so Yi Xian couldn't see what was inside. However, he already knew how powerful the thing inside was. It was actually able to instantly kill Wei Zhentian and the old tree who possessed the immortal phoenix bloodline. It was definitely extremely terrifying. Just as Yi Xian was about to get old tree to use an attack to send the sarcophagus's lid flying, Yi Xian's eyes lit up. Suddenly, a crisp sound entered their ears. Kacha! The coffin opened by itself, but there was only a small opening, about the length of an index finger. The old tree was about to go over and take a look, but at this moment, the entire palace changed again. Boom! Countless doors suddenly opened on the four sides of the palace. Then, one after another, battle corpses walked out. 1, 2, 3. Yi Xian and the others subconsciously started counting. When they finished counting, their bodies trembled. Damn, there were 20 of them. Moreover, all of them were at the 7th tier of the profound death realm. That wasn't the point. The point was that there were more after the 20 battle corpses walked out. There were 20 of them at one time, so there were 40 of them at 2 times. How was this going to end? Bai Ming and the others were pale with fright, but Yi Xian's eyes were wide open. This was an opportunity for him. With so many battle corpses, it was enough for him to break through to the 6th tier of the profound death realm. Old Tree could also break through to the 8th tier of the profound death realm. It was a blessing. However, Yi Xian still didn't know what was in the coffin. That was what he was most afraid of. I don't care what you are. When I break through, I'll kill you even if you're at the 9th tier of the profound death realm. Yi Xian widened his eyes and charged forward. The feast of slaughter had begun. Old Tree and Wei Zhentian immediately obeyed and attacked. The latter even activated the sword storm. Crack! While they were killing the battle corpses, the lid of the coffin moved down a little. Yi Xian reckoned that it wasn't Xianxia in the coffin, but something was sealed inside. Now, that something was breaking through the seal. Therefore he still had time. Kill with all your might. Yi Xian didn't hesitate and activated the dark night sky curtain. The palace instantly darkened. With the Eye of Revelation, he could instantly find the enigmatic birth bead inside the battle corpses. With his 5th tier of the profound death realm cultivation, he could instantly shatter the enigmatic birth bead if he attacked with all his might. Kacha! Swish! Yi Xian darted behind the nearest battle corpse and stabbed his sword into its shoulder, shattering the enigmatic birth bead. Then, he viciously chopped off the battle corpse's head. Since the battle corpse was already dead, he could use the enigmatic birth bead to recover after chopping off its head. Therefore, it was best to destroy the enigmatic birth bead first. One battle corpse increased Yi Xian's strength by 10%. Not bad. While he was killing the battle corpses, he was also searching for the location of the enigmatic birth bead for the Old Tree and Wei Zhentian. Their cooperation was perfect, and the number of battle corpses was rapidly reduced. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Yi Xian's killing intent continued to increase, and so did the killing feast. At the same time, his cultivation level also continued to increase as he devoured the battle corpses. 50%, 1%, 1, 5%, 2%. The killing feasts increase rapidly. When Yi Xian killed the 23rd battle corpse, he finally heard a system notification. Ding! Host has made a breakthrough. Host is currently at the 6th tier of the profound death realm. At this moment, his killing feasts increase had reached 2.5%. Furthermore, it was 2.5% of his original strength after the breakthrough. However, the stone coffin was already over half opened. Finish it quickly, Yi Xian shouted in his heart. At this moment, he did not have the time to see what was inside the stone coffin. It was more important to increase his strength as soon as possible. This time, there were a total of 40 battle corpses, and all of them were at the 7th profound death realm. Fortunately, they were only at the 7th profound death realm. If they were at the 8th profound death realm, he would be doomed. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. When the last battle corpse was killed, Yi Xian's increase had already increased by 3 times. At this moment, Yi Xian had just devoured all the battle corpses that he had just collected. Ding! Ash Spirit has made a breakthrough. Currently at the 8th profound death realm. Yi Xian had just made the old tree make a breakthrough. Otherwise, those battle corpses would have increased to the 8th profound death realm. Then it would be difficult to kill them. After all, their experience had nothing to do with their level. Gotcha! Coincidentally, the lid of the stone coffin was completely opened. It was directly blown away by a breath of profound death chi. Chapter 1499. At this moment, an armored arm suddenly extended from the sarcophagus. Following that, a man in dark gray armor slowly stood up from the sarcophagus. The sarcophagus was surrounded by an enormous amount of mysterious death energy. Even if Old Tree were to charge in, he would most likely die instantly. The armored man was very tall, reaching 2 meters. His entire body was covered by the dark gray armor, and his face could not be seen clearly. When he stood up, the mysterious death energy was suddenly absorbed into his body. Following that, his aura suddenly skyrocketed. 7th tier profound death realm. 8th tier profound death realm. 9th tier profound death realm. In the blink of an eye, he had reached the 9th tier of profound death realm. Furthermore, he had reached the peak of the 9th tier of profound death realm. Holy T, what the hell is this? Yi Xian was terrified. With his eye of revelation, he saw that the thing in the armor was not a body, but a skeleton. What is this? Skeletal King. Just as Yi Xian was surprised, Bai Ming exclaimed. The Skeletal King was also a type of exotic beast, but it was very special. It was a combination of bones and rocks. It was very rare and very difficult to deal with. Now, he had encountered a Skeletal King at the peak of the 9th tier of profound death realm. He did not know whether it was a blessing or a curse. Yi Xian was not confident that he could kill the Skeletal King. If he had unicorn, he should be able to. Unfortunately, he had used unicorn on Qi Tianrue. If only he had kept it. At this moment, Old Tree could not wait to attack as he had been killed by the Skeletal King once. Waning Flame. Bang! Old Tree's punch landed on the Skeletal King's helmet. However, it only made its head lower slightly. It did not break through its defense. Whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, a gust of mysterious death energy gushed out from the helmet. Old Tree was once again in trouble. However, this time, Old Tree was at the 8th tier of profound death realm. Although the mysterious death energy corroded quickly, the immortal phoenix bloodline in Old Tree's body was able to extinguish it. It seemed that the Skeletal King was not that easy to deal with. Fortunately, Yi Xian now had a 3-fold amplification, and Blade Storm also had this amplification. Kill him. Yi Xian immediately gave the order to Wei Zhentian. However, in the next moment, Wei Zhentian was stunned. What? You want me to subdue it? Yi Xian was stunned. This Skeleton King seemed to be quite powerful. Furthermore, Yi Xian had a lot of loot boxes, so it would be fine to take one. However, the key question was how to collect them. That was a monster at the peak of the 9th level of the profound death stage. Even the best contract would not work. Yi Xian subconsciously glanced over and realized that it wasn't impossible. There's actually a master-servant contract that can be exchanged with devour points? Yi Xian was shocked. Previously, he had used devour crystals to exchange for them. Now, he had never thought that he would be able to use devour points to exchange for them. Furthermore, this master-servant contract was extremely overbearing. It could force the other party to enter into a contract, and the upper limit was the host's level 3. In other words, Xian happened to be able to tame this skeleton king. Alright, Wei Zhentian, I'll take you in as a follower this time. Xian's eyes flickered. He did not hesitate to spend 1 devour point to exchange for the master-servant contract. At this moment, the skeleton king's body trembled slightly. Then, a shocking scene happened. There were so many corpses on the ground, but it started to move and crawl up. Heavens, this skeleton king has the will of death. Bai Ming exclaimed again. The will of death. Xian had encountered it once before, and that was when he was born from the immortal corpse king in the land of the dead. Xian still remembered that when he killed the immortal corpse king, an eye of death appeared and absorbed the will of death. Not only that, but it also almost killed him. If Mini Sky Dragon had not sensed it, he would have lost 2 of his doppelgangers. It's indeed a good loot. Alright, I'll subdue you. When Wei Zhentian said that just now, Xian was a little reluctant. After all, it was just 1 devour point. But now, he had made up his mind. A good loot could bring him a lot of convenience. As long as a few skills appeared, he would be able to redeem them and get devour points. 1 devour point was not a loss. Whoosh! A red array appeared under Xian's feet. At the same time, a similar array appeared under the skeleton king's feet. Begin the contract. This master-servant contract was a little coercive, so the skeleton king was very resistant. It directly let the resurrected corpses pounce on Xian. Xian could not move now. Fortunately, there were people guarding him. Die, all of you! The old tree directly attacked and burned all the corpses near Xian to ashes. This time, the process of forming the contract was a little slow. It lasted for a full 10 seconds. During these 10 seconds, Bai Ming and the others were stunned. Xian was actually subduing the skeleton king. That was 3 realms higher than him. Before they could recover from their shock, the array disappeared. Immediately, Xian heard a system prompt in his mind. Ding! Skeleton King subdued successfully. The 4th loot, Skeleton King. Before Xian could rejoice, he heard the 2nd system prompt. Ding! The skeletal monarch can become Wei Zhentian's lifelong treasure. After becoming a lifelong treasure, the skeletal monarch and Wei Zhentian can share the same level and bloodline as other lifelong treasures. Furthermore, the skeletal monarch and Wei Zhentian's strength will double when fighting together. Hearing this, Xian was a little shocked. This skeleton king could become Wei Zhentian's lifelong treasure. Wasn't that a little brother? A little brother could share the level and bloodline of the big brother. When the 2 of them fight together, the strength of both sides will be doubled. Holy *T. No wonder Wei Zhentian wanted Xian to tame the skeleton king. It turned out that it was so awesome. This time he was really in luck. At that moment, Xian agreed to let the skeleton king become Wei Zhentian's lifelong treasure. Just the attributes of the treasure alone saved Xian some devour points. In this way, the skeleton king would be immortal like Wei Zhentian and the old tree. Ding! Skeleton king has become Wei Zhentian's lifelong treasure. The system prompted again. However, this was not all good, because Xian saw that the skeleton king's level was directly reduced to the 7th tier of profound death realm, the same level as Wei Zhentian. After all, Wei Zhentian was the big brother. How could a little brother surpass his big brother? However, Xian did not care so much. He said in his mind, Skeleton King, your nickname will be Rib Bone. Follow Wei Zhentian. The skeleton king could not speak, but its 2 ghostly fire-like eyes flickered twice. Come, let's combine, Xian said to Wei Zhentian and the skeleton king. In the next moment, Wei Zhentian suddenly turned into a 1 meter wide and 3 meters long greatsword. Chapter 1500. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Although the fusion was simple, there were some changes to the skeletal king's armor. The dark gray armor suddenly glowed with a demonic luster, and its aura suddenly doubled. Indeed, its combat strength had increased. Moreover, Xian had the unicorn deterrent skill, which doubled the attributes of the target. It was simply godly. Come, old tree, let's have a fight. Yi Xian said to old tree. Tisk. TSK. TSK. Little Tian actually has underlings. Let me have a go at you guys. Old tree's eyes lit up, and he instantly flashed behind the Skeletal King. When he launched a sneak attack on the Skeletal King was at the peak of 9th tier Profound Death Realm. Not only did he not gain any advantage, but he was also affected by the Profound Death Chi. This time, the Skeletal King had fallen to 7th tier Profound Death Realm. He wondered what would happen. Boom! Old Tree threw a punch at the back of the Skeletal King. Even with his full strength, he still could not break through the Skeletal King's defense. The Skeletal King's body trembled slightly. Suddenly, it stepped forward with its right foot, turned around quickly, and swung its sword. The heaven-shaking great sword was extremely powerful. It directly cut the old tree into two. Its speed had exceeded the old tree's reaction time. With the unicorn deterrent skill, Wei Zhentian and the Skeletal King could double their combat strength. In addition to the effect of their lifetime treasure, their combat strength had increased by 3 times. The Skeletal King was originally known for its defense. Now that all of its attributes had increased, its defense had reached an astonishing level. In addition to the immortal phoenix bloodline, it was like an unkillable cockroach. Even the old tree, who was a tier higher than them, did not gain any advantage. He was even cut in half at the waist. That sword seemed ordinary, but in fact, it had the power to destroy heaven and earth. Yi Xian estimated that even a 9th tier Profound Death Realm expert would not be able to take it head-on. Fortunately, Old Tree also had the immortal phoenix bloodline, so he quickly recovered. Profit! What a huge profit! Yi Xian was so overjoyed that he forgot to look at the Skeletal Monarch's skill. He quickly collected his thoughts and looked at it. The Skeletal Monarch had a total of 4 skills: Elegy of Souls, Undying Battle Soul, Grip of the Underworld, and Evil Descends. Elegy of Souls was a passive skill. As long as Yi Xian and the Skeletal Monarch killed a player, the Elegy of Souls would stack up and increase the Skeletal Monarch's combat power by a percentage. Under the Elegy of Souls, there was an active skill called Army of the Dead, which consumed a large amount of souls. This was the effect of the Will of Death, which resurrected corpses to do battle. The higher the number of souls, the higher the Skeletal Monarch's attributes would be. Once he used the Undead Army, the Elegy of Souls attributes would decrease. The Undying Battle Souls explanation was simple. It doubled the Skeletal Monarch's attributes and could be used once a day. Grip of the Underworld was a powerful control skill. It could be used once a day to grab someone in front of it. Evil Descends was an aura skill. As long as the Skeletal Monarch was present, Yi Xian, Wei Zhentian, and the old tree would have their speed and recovery increased. These were the 4 skills of the Skeletal Monarch. In addition, there was also a fusion skill that would appear after it merged with Wei Zhentian. Sky-Shattering Meteor Slash. Needless to say, this skill was a powerful attack skill. Moreover, it did not have a cooldown. It was similar to Unicorn's Descent, which required Yi Xian to consume ores or weapons to recover. At the same time, under the fusion state, the Undying Battle Souls attributes would increase, which would also affect Wei Zhentian. If activated, the Skeletal Monarch and Wei Zhentian would be able to exhibit 4 times their combat power. It could only be described as terrifying. Haha, I really got the wrong item this time. This is too good. Yi Xian could not help but laugh a few times. Only rare and precious treasures would have skills after being subdued. Not only did the Skeletal Monarch have skills, but it also had many of them. It was very practical. If the Elegy of Souls was stacked, the Skeletal Monarch's combat power would be extremely powerful. The reason why the corpses suddenly came to life was the effect of the Army of the Dead. However, after the Skeletal Monarch was subdued, the Army of the Dead could still be used. It was not bad. Since they are already dead, let them rest in peace. Yi Xian ordered the ribs. Plop, plop, plop. Without a leader, the walking corpses fell to the ground one by one. This trip to the Mystic Moon Tomb was indeed a good one. Not only had his strength increased significantly, he had even subdued such an awesome monster. If he could have such a handsome monster following behind him when he went shopping in the future, he would definitely be able to look cool. Young master, you have made a big profit this time. I reckon that if we were to fight, I am afraid that I would not be able to defeat them. Old Tree could not help but laugh. He was at the 8th tier of the Profound Death Realm, but he could not defeat the skeletal monarch at the 7th tier of the Profound Death Realm. It was embarrassing. However, now that the skeletal monarch and Wei Zhentian were in a merged state, both of their attributes had doubled. It was normal that he could not defeat them. If they were to disintegrate, it would be hard to say who would win if the old tree and the skeletal monarch fought one-on-one again. Ribs, why are you in this sarcophagus? Where is the owner of this tomb? Yi Xian asked. The skeletal monarch could not speak, but it could communicate with Yi Xian through voice transmission like Wei Zhentian. Of course, only Yi Xian, the owner, could understand what it was saying. Oh, you are saying that you jumped levels and fought one-on-one with that monster, but you were unexpectedly captured by her. She wanted to subdue you, but you were unwilling to submit, so you were sealed here? Yi Xian immediately understood. The monster that the skeletal monarch mentioned was the owner of the mystic moon tomb, Qi Xianyue, who was also the sister of the reincarnator Qi Tianrue. Yi Xian previously thought that this was an inheritance left behind by Qi Xianyue, but it turned out that it was nothing. If an ordinary person entered this place, not only would they not gain any benefits, they would also be killed and die here. However, this was a huge benefit for Yi Xian. All right, I will definitely kill that monster when I see her in the future and avenge you. Yi Xian nodded at the skeletal monarch. The latter hated Qi Xianyue to the bone. After all, she had been sealed here for thousands of years. Congratulations, my lord. Bai Ming and the others immediately came up to him with a fawning expression. They thought that they were dead for sure, but they did not expect that such a powerful skeletal monarch would be subdued by Yi Xian. It was simply a miracle. The skeletal monarch, who was at the peak of the 9th tier of the Profound Death Realm, was probably not inferior to a Samsara realm expert. Yi Xian had gained a powerful combat force by subduing it. Haha, thank you. Yi Xian was in a good mood. However, at this moment, a powerful aura of death suddenly spread out, causing everyone's heart to tremble. Chapter 1501. However, this time, it was not the Eye of Reincarnation, but the Eye of Death. The Eye of Death? Seeing this, Bai Ming immediately exclaimed. The Eye of Death was also a rare eye in the world. It was said that there was only one in the entire land of reincarnation. Who would have thought that it would appear here? Why? However, the most shocked person was Yi Xian. The 3 eyes of reincarnation of the Reincarnation City Master, Reincarnation Supremacy, and Reincarnation Fox were all the same. This Eye of Death was probably the same. However, he felt that he had seen this Eye of Death before. Yes, it was the one he saw in the land of the dead. Yi Xian was sure of it. A sudden killing intent rose spontaneously from the bottom of Yi Xian's heart. Yi Xian recalled the scene when he was almost killed by the Eye of Death. If Mini Sky Dragon had not arrived, he would have been killed. However, the Eye of Death appeared after the death of the immortal corpse king. Why did it appear again now? While he was in shock, a figure suddenly condensed under the Eye of Death. It was a woman in a milky white dress. I didn't expect that someone would help you break the seal. The woman spoke slowly. Her gaze fell on the skeletal king. After seeing the woman in white, the skeleton king could not help but roar loudly despite not being able to speak. This woman was Qi Xianyue, who had sealed him for thousands of years. Yi Xian also immediately reacted. It was truly a narrow road. The skeleton emperor's enemy was actually the same as him. Now, they were facing each other. Killing one person could end 2 grudges. I gave you several thousand years to consider. In these several thousand years, although your strength has regressed, your temper has become even worse. Qi Xianyue could not help but snort coldly and said, Now that I have the Eye of Death, as long as you follow me, you will be immortal and reach a realm you can't imagine. Roar. The skeleton king did not fall for this trick and roared again. Although Qi Xianyue did not know what he was saying, she knew that he was rejecting her. She continued, Ignorant. In that case, you can stay here for thousands of years. After saying that, the stone coffin lid suddenly flew up, and the skeleton king was forcibly suppressed back into the stone coffin. Seeing this, Yi Xian immediately sent the skeletal king into the planting space. What a joke! Rib Bones was now his subordinate. How could he be sealed again? The disappearance of the skeletal king shocked Qi Xianyue. In the next moment, a strong pressure was exerted on Yi Xian and the others, immobilizing them. Strong. Too strong. Yi Xian gritted his teeth. He had experienced this feeling several times already. Last time, he was suppressed by Yi-Wen, causing him to explode his eyes and destroy his 2 clones. Could it be that he was going to repeat the same mistake this time? However, even if he lost 2 avatars, it was worth it to save the Skeleton King. Who did that? To be able to make the Skeleton King disappear under my nose. Who is it? Xianxia narrowed her eyes and glanced at Yi Xian and the others. These people were only at the profound death realm. In her eyes, they were all ants. Bai Ming knew that Xianxia was not to be trifled with, so he quickly said, I am Bai Ming from the Bai family of the 100 Fox Manor. May I know what you are talking about? He knew that the disappearance of the Skeleton King was related to Yi Xian, but Yi Xian was related to the reincarnation fox. No matter how strong Xianxia was, she could not be stronger than the reincarnation fox, right? The 100 Fox Manor? Humph, I did not violate the rules of the profound death battlefield. Even if I kill you, they can't do anything to me. Xianxia was not happy that Bai Ming used the 100 Fox Manor to pressure her. After a cold snort, Bai Ming's body began to decay. In the blink of an eye, only half of his body was left. Although Bai Ming was at the 7th profound death realm, he was nothing in front of Xianxia. The profound life qi in his body was suppressed and could not be restored. However, Xianxia did not want to provoke the Bai family, let alone the 100 Fox Manor. Therefore she showed mercy. Otherwise, Bai Ming would have been turned into nothingness. Speak, who was it? Xianxia said sternly. She had always wanted to tame the Skeleton King. She would come here once every 100 years, but every time, she would fail. In fact, the reason why she built this tomb was to give the Skeleton King some toys. Anyway, anyone who entered would be killed by the Skeleton King. Once the seal on the Skeleton King was broken, she would know. Then, she would seal it again to weaken the Skeleton King's arrogance. Now, the Skeleton King had disappeared right under her nose. This was the first time this had happened in thousands of years. Although Yi Xian hated Xianxia, he knew that he did not have the strength now. If he acted rashly, he would have to bear the risk of losing 2 of his doppelgangers. Humph, since you don't want to speak, then die one by one. Xianxia snorted coldly. Then, Yi Xian and the others' bodies began to decay. Senior, please spare our lives. We don't know. Song Qingxing hurriedly shouted. However, Xianxia did not buy it. Since they did not know, she would vent her anger on them. It's me. At this time, someone suddenly shouted. Xianxia turned her head and found that the person who spoke was a bald old man, the old tree. It's you? Where did you take him? Xianxia asked in an interrogative tone. I have a space magic, but I don't want to tell you. Kill me if you have the guts. The old tree replied. He was trying to draw the calamity onto himself. After all, he was immortal and indestructible. Although the eyes of death could kill people, they could not hold him hostage. Yi Xian was here now, so he was not afraid. You're courting death. Xianxia was furious. She directly destroyed the old tree, leaving only half of his body and limbs. However, the next moment, she was shocked because she saw that the old tree's body was recovering while decaying. How was this possible? She had suppressed the mysterious life qi in everyone present. How could he recover? The next moment, she found that the old tree was not recovering with the mysterious life qi. Instead, it was some other strange energy. However, she only knew that the old tree was not recovering with the mysterious life qi, but she did not know what that energy was. You're quite capable. Since you don't want to tell me, then. Xianxia was halfway through her sentence when she suddenly saw that Yi Xian's body was also intact. Seeing that Xianxia's gaze fell on him, Yi Xian's body could not help but tremble. It seemed that this was troublesome. However, it was not that troublesome because the immortal phoenix bloodline in Yi Xian's body could recover faster than the speed of decay. How can you resist my will of death? Xianxia asked curiously. It's none of your business. Yi Xian did not say anything and directly scolded her. Chapter 1502. What did you say? Xianxia's eyes widened as if she had misheard him. A puny 6th-tier profound death realm martial artist dared to scold her? He was courting death. However, in her current state, the will of death could not kill Yi Xian. Ha ha ha, you can't kill me? You stinking B***tch. I'm the one who hid the Skeleton King. Bite me. When Yi Xian discovered this, he immediately started cursing. Bai Ming and the others behind him were shocked. As expected of someone who knew the reincarnation fox. How courageous! Bastard! Qi Xuanyue's eyes flickered. She saw that she could not do anything to Yi Xian. His fingers had just disappeared, but they recovered in the next moment. What kind of recovery speed was that? The old tree had the immortal phoenix bloodline, and so did Yi Xian. Moreover, Yi Xian had the immortal eye unicorn bloodline, and the unicorn true qi was circulating in his body. The unicorn true qi was the combination of the eye of glory and the eye of destruction. The eye of glory had the ability to increase the damage of dead creatures. Therefore, the speed of Yi Xian's decay was much slower than the old tree's. How could anything happen to him when the old tree was fine? Who are you? Qi Xianyue could not help but ask. Guess. If you guess correctly, I'll summon the Skeleton King. Yi Xian raised his eyebrows, looking like a villain who had succeeded. Since his opponent could not do anything to him, what was there to be afraid of? What a joke! What a sharp-tongued brat! Do you know who I am? Qi Xianyue asked. Guess again. Yi Xian chuckled. Before Qi Xianyue could say anything, Bai Ming behind Yi Xian explained, one of the 3 overlords of the Xian Death Battlefield, the Death Abyss Overlord. I didn't expect you to know me. However, you're wrong. I'm the strongest expert in the Xian Death Battlefield. The other 2 are no match for me. Qi Xianyue said arrogantly, as long as I don't break the rules of the Xian Death Battlefield, your 100 Fox Manor can't do anything to me. That may be so, but I'm still from the Bai clan. Do you think you're invincible among your peers? 100 Fox Manor, any random expert from the Bai clan could easily kill you. You're from the Xian Death Abyss Battlefield. Bai Ming suddenly mocking her. Qi Xianyue was only at the 3rd level of the Samsara realm. Therefore, she could only reign supreme in the Profound Death Battlefield, where the upper limit was the 3rd level of the Profound Death stage. Once she entered the rotating chakra battlefield, any passerby would have the strength to kill her. 2. You. When Qi Xianyue heard Bai Ming's words, she clenched her teeth in anger. This was the first time someone had called her a piece of trash. What about you? Although there are rules in the Xian Death Battlefield, my Bai clan can still send 10 Xian Death Abyss realm experts. You might not even be able to defeat one. What's wrong with calling you a piece of trash? Bai Ming continued to mock her. Yi Xian was speechless. It was so good to have a strong background. He was envious that Qi Xianyue could even scold experts. Good, very good. Although I can't touch you, these ants can't be from the 100 Fox Manor, right? Qi Xuanyue's eyes flashed. Her eyes were filled with murderous intent. Yi Xian and Bai Ming's expressions changed. Using their spiritual senses, they sensed that Song Qingxing and the others' bodies were rapidly disintegrating. Senior, please spare my life. Song Qingxing begged for mercy. Stop. Bai Ming and Yi Xian shouted at the same time. Unfortunately, Qi Xianyue was still angry. Yi Xian and the old tree were just projections. She could do nothing to them. Bai Ming had a strong background. She could not touch him either. As for Song Qingxing and the other 2, how could she not touch them? In an instant, Song Qingxing and the other 2 were disintegrated by her will of death. They turned into nothingness. Even their interspatial rings disappeared. This was the consequence of angering her. Although she was afraid of the 100 Fox Manor, she was not without a temper. If she did not kill a few people to vent her anger, this anger would continue to weigh on her heart. When Yi Xian sensed that Song Qingxing and the other 2's auras had disappeared, he immediately cursed, "Bastard! Come at me if you have the guts." Humph! Qi Xianyue snorted and said, "Fine, I'll suppress you here. When I catch you, I hope you can still be as stubborn as you are now." As soon as she finished speaking, her original body had already sent people to capture Yi Xian and the others. Oh no! Yi Xian's expression changed drastically. It seemed like they were in trouble this time. He thought that Qi Xianyue would give up and leave after knowing that she could not do anything to them. Since you want to do this, you should be prepared to be destroyed, Bai Ming said in a threatening tone. You don't have to worry about this. Qi Xianyue continued to snort. Although she was only at the 3rd level of the Samsara realm and was like an ant in the eyes of those experts, no one in the Profound Death Battlefield could threaten her. However, at this moment, an aura suddenly spread out. Yi Xian and the others looked up and saw that another huge eyeball had appeared and was facing Qi Xuanyue's Eye of Death. This is the Eye of all things. Yi Xian recognized it at a glance. This huge eye was the Eye of all things that he had seen that day. That day, a third-level Profound Death Realm expert had attacked him in the Profound Life battlefield and was killed by this Eye of all things. He did not know if it was the same one. As the Eye of all things appeared, Qi Xuanyue could not help but tremble. Why did this damn thing appear? It's you? What are you doing here? I did not break the rules of the Profound Death battlefield. Qi Xuanyue shouted angrily. Then, the Eye of all things condensed into the figure of a middle-aged man. Indeed, you did not break the rules. However, you want to attack the people of the 100 Fox Manor. Am I supposed to just watch and do nothing? The middle-aged man looked disdainful and said, even the other two managers do not dare to do so. Where did you get the guts? Scram. Before the middle-aged man could finish his sentence, the Eyes of Death vanished into thin air, disappearing from the world. Overbearing. However, this middle-aged man had overbearing strength. A mere third-level Samsara realm expert dared to act arrogantly in front of him. He was courting death. Yi Xian and the other two were shocked. Qi Xuanyue, who had suppressed them to the point of suffocation, was instantly killed by the middle-aged man. This scene happened so suddenly that they had yet to recover from their shock. As the Eye of Death disappeared, the pressure on Yi Xian and the other two also disappeared and they regained their mobility. Thank you, Senior. Yi Xian and Bai Ming hurriedly said. No worries. After the middle-aged man said these two words, he disappeared along with the Eye of all things. There were only 3 people left in the Xianyu tomb. Chapter 1503. Ding! Host has triggered the revenge quest. Kill Qi Xuanyue. Do you accept? The system notification surprised Yi Xian. He remembered that the last revenge quest required him to kill Mo Shui. He didn't expect it to be so long ago. Accept. Yi Xian didn't say anything else and accepted this revenge mission. The reward for the revenge quest wasn't displayed, which meant that it would change according to certain factors, such as the speed of completing the quest. Actually, Yi Xian wanted to tell Qi Xuanyue a fact, and that was about Qi Xuanyue's brother, Qi Tianrui. Qi Xuanyue probably didn't expect that her brother had found this tomb chamber, let alone that her brother was already dead. The burnt corpse in the north of the palace was actually Qi Tianrui. Unfortunately, Qi Xuanyue's Eyes of Death were instantly destroyed, so Yi Xian didn't have time to tell her. Therefore, Yi Xian decided to wait until he saw Qi Xuanyue again. He wondered what kind of expression Qi Xuanyue would have when the time came. Let's leave first. After accepting the revenge quest, Yi Xian directly broke through the void and left the Xuanyue tomb chamber with the old tree and Bai Ming. Although the Eyes of Death and Qi Xuanyue had been defeated by the mysterious middle-aged man, Yi Xian decided to leave first just in case. No matter how powerful Qi Xuanyue was, she couldn't chase after them. After all, she only appeared because the Skeleton King's seal was broken. After they were safe, Yi Xian couldn't help but ask, who was that senior just now? Bai Ming replied, that senior was appointed by my 100 Fox Manor to manage the Xian Death battlefield. He monitors the entire Xian Death battlefield through the eyes of Myriad. If anyone violates the rules, they will be obliterated. I see. So there are 2 other managers on the Samsara Venerable and Samsara City Master side? Yi Xian asked again. Yes, the other 2 also have the Eyes of Myriad Forms. The Eyes of Myriad Forms is a relatively common eye. Bai Ming nodded. Indeed, the Eyes of Myriad were very common. Yi Xian encountered 2 pairs of them while chasing after the Xian Ming duo. The Eye of Death is also rather rare. It is said that the Lord of the Abyss of Death obtained it from a heavenly beast of death. As for the Eye of Reincarnation, I heard that the Master of Samsara City got it after killing the heaven-reaching beast. Seeing that Yi Xian was interested, Bai Ming continued. Hearing this, Yi Xian was a little surprised. What? The Master of Samsara City? What about your Manor Lord and Venerable Samsara? Our Manor Lord is a fox of reincarnation. The Eye of Reincarnation is formed by itself. As for the Reincarnation Venerable who rose in the past 20 years, I don't know where his reincarnation eye came from. However, it is said that the Reincarnation Venerable condensed it himself, so he has superior reincarnation ability, Bai Ming replied. The Eye of Reincarnation obtained from killing heaven-reaching beasts was naturally inferior to the Eye of Reincarnation formed by oneself. This was not difficult to understand. Therefore, Reincarnation Venerable and Reincarnation Fox had the same level of Reincarnation Eye. As for Reincarnation City Lord, he was slightly weaker. Reincarnation Venerable? Yi Xian narrowed his eyes slightly. When the first Eye of Reincarnation appeared, the base of the life and death plate in the planting space suddenly shook violently. In the land of reincarnation, when Yi Xian was still in the longevity realm, the base of the life and death plate in the Red Flame Mountain range suddenly appeared after the Reincarnation Venerable appeared. Could it be? Right, the Reincarnation Venerable appeared at about the same time as the Xianming duo demons reincarnated using the life and death plate. Yi Xian's eyes suddenly lit up. Could it be that the Reincarnation Venerable was the life and death plate? So, his two appearances caused the base of the life and death plate to change? However, the life and death plate was only a divine artifact. Some divine artifacts seem to give birth to artifact spirits. The Reincarnation Venerable might be the life and death plate. After the Xianming duo demons reincarnated, it cultivated a physical body and then left. Yi Xian thought about it and realized that it was really possible. However, the Reincarnation Venerable was one of the three great leaders in the land of reincarnation. He was not someone he could come into contact with now. Furthermore, the Reincarnation Venerable did not have any enmity with him. He would think about it after he met the Reincarnation Venerable. Right now, he had to take revenge first. The Eye of Death, Qi Xianyue. Bai Ming, I will take revenge personally this time. I will take my leave first. Yi Xian said to Bai Ming, who was beside him. All right, please be careful, my lord. Bai Ming did not ask further and only cupped his fists respectfully. He also wanted to take revenge for the auction house owner, but Qi Xianyue was not someone he could defeat now, so he could only put it aside for now. Then, Yi Xian left directly. Since he wanted to take revenge, he had to go to the north because Qi Xianyue was in the Reincarnation Venerable's territory. This time, Yi Xian was going to enter the enemy's camp to kill. Among the spoils of war just now, he had obtained a map. There was a teleportation point somewhere in the north of Tianluo City that could teleport him to the edge of the camp. This place was called Lingxi City and the teleportation point was near Lingxi City. However, there was a fee to use this teleportation point. Immediately, Yi Xian started to hurry. Now that he had subdued the Skeletal King, he directly sent the Skeletal King and Wei Zhentian to hunt heaven-reaching beasts to increase his strength and recover Unicorn's descent. At the same time, he could also increase the Elegy of Souls buff. In order to form a contract with the Skeletal King, he had spent 1 Devour point. Now, he only had 2 Devour points left. Therefore, he wanted to find a chance to increase his killing intent points to the upper limit. Otherwise, how long would it take for him to gather 9 Devour points and fuse 2 combat bloodlines? Lingxi City was quite a distance away from Tianluo City. However, Yi Xian was at the 6th tier of the Profound Death Realm. Using the Shadow Step and Agility buff, he only took a day to reach the city. In this day, Wei Zhentian, Ribbone and Old Tree killed many heaven-reaching beasts. Yi Xian's killing intent points increased by a large margin. However, the Elegy of Souls of the Skeletal King only increased the buff by 1/10,000th. 1/10,000th in a day, 1/10,000th in 10 days, and 100th in 100 days. Although the Elegy of Souls was a divine skill, it did not have much effect in the beginning. Moreover, the Elegy of Souls would change according to the level of the Skeletal King and Yi Xian. If the Skeletal King was at the 7th tier of the Profound Death Realm, the buff would only be 1/10,000th in a day. Simply put, when one's level increased, one would have to kill stronger monsters. Fortunately, they were only killing heaven-reaching beasts today. If they were to meet some ignorant family or faction, the Elegy of Souls would be able to level up quickly. Chapter 1504. The Skeletal King was simply a heaven-defying monster. Yi Xian felt that even if he had to spend 3 Devour points on the contract, it was definitely worth it. Speaking of which, Yi Xian had already arrived at Spirit West City. The next step was to find the teleportation array and teleport to the edge of the camp. Let's go. Ribs, follow me on the streets. When Yi Xian entered Spirit West City, he used the Eye of the Void to summon the Skeletal King and Wei Zhentian back. A 2-meter-tall armored man holding a 3-meter-long heaven-shaking sword would attract a lot of attention as he walked on the streets. Of course, Yi Xian, who was walking in front of the Skeletal King, was the center of attention. A few sharp-eyed martial artists recognized it and exclaimed, "Damn, it's the rare skeletal king. Who is that person? He actually tamed a skeletal king." When these words came out, the surrounding people were shocked. Skeletal king is a rare beast that is hard to come by in thousands of years. Its combat power is incomparably strong. I have never heard of a skeletal king being tamed in history. That young man is only at the 6th level of the Profound Death Realm. What ability does he have to tame a 7th level Profound Death Realm skeletal king? Sure, look at his ostentatious appearance. He might have a great background. The elders of his family must have helped him tame it or sent it to protect him. Guard? Isn't that bald old man a guard? This skeletal king seems to be able to evolve. As long as it can obtain the white bone gold essence jade, it is said that it can be upgraded to the Ghost Dome Great Emperor. What a joke. What is the white bone gold essence jade? It is a material used to forge 8th level divine weapons. That's right. Why is this skeletal king different from the rumors? Its rock armor has such a luster. Could it have mutated once? It is said that a skeletal king appeared thousands of years ago. It was at the peak of the 9th level of the Profound Death Realm. At that time, it caused a huge commotion. Many forces wanted to tame it. Even some Sara realm experts tried, but no one succeeded. That skeletal king could be said to kill wherever it went. Just mentioning its name would make people tremble in fear. In the end, no one knew why it disappeared. The people around them were really well informed. Along the way, Xianxia heard a lot of interesting things. I didn't expect the skeleton king to be able to advance. Not bad. Xianxia narrowed his eyes. If the skeletal monarch wanted to become a Ghost Dome Great Emperor, it could refine the white bone golden essence jade. At that time, the skeletal monarch would become even stronger. At the same time, the skeleton king mentioned by the passerby thousands of years ago was actually the rib that Xianxia had just subdued. However, since rib bones had become Wei Zhentian's underling, his cultivation level had dropped to the 7th level of the Profound Death stage. Therefore, no one would associate him with the skeleton king from several thousand years ago. Under the fearful gazes of the crowd, Xianxia arrived in front of the Spirit West City's City Lord Mansion. When the guards of the City Lord's mansion saw this, they almost peed in their pants. Damn, it was actually the skeleton king. Sir, is there anything I can help you with? The 7th level Profound Death Stage guard captain greeted him and asked in shock. At the same time, he couldn't help but glance at the skeleton king. When the skeleton king glared at him with its ghastly eyes, the guard captain was so frightened that he hurriedly retracted his gaze and didn't dare to look at him again. I want to use the teleportation array. Please inform me. Xianxia replied directly. Oh, okay. I'll inform the head steward. The guard captain nodded. After swallowing a mouthful of saliva, he turned around and entered the city lord's mansion. He was at the 7th level of the Profound Death stage while Xianxia was at the 6th level of the Profound Death stage. However, Xianxia, who had a 7th level Profound Death stage skeleton king and an 8th level Profound Death stage elder protecting him, definitely had a great background. He couldn't handle such a lineup. Behind Xianxia, there were many people who came to watch the show and worshipped the skeleton king. When they heard that Xianxia wanted to use the teleportation array, they immediately understood that he was going to the north to train. What an unfortunate timing. The teleportation array was destroyed a few days ago. I heard that it's still under repair. I'm afraid we'll have to wait for a few more days. That's right. Some time ago, a peak Profound Death stage expert snuck in and destroyed the teleportation array before leaving. The city lord was so angry that he blew his beard. It must be someone from the north. The surrounding crowd whispered again. However, Xianxia heard them. What? The teleportation array was destroyed and it's still under repair? Xianxia was a little helpless. Such a good thing happened to him. Did he have to travel by himself? Although his speed was fast, it would take him at least half a month to reach the edge of the camp. It was too wasteful. Soon, an old man at the 8th level of the Profound Death stage walked out. When he heard about the skeleton king, he didn't believe it. However, when he saw it with his own eyes, he had no choice but to believe it. Sir, this old man is the head steward of the city lord's mansion. I heard that you want to use the teleportation array? The elder asked. That's right. However, I also heard that the teleportation array was destroyed. I wonder how long it will take to repair it? Yi Xian nodded and replied.
The elder paused and continued. The array experts in my city lord's mansion are already repairing it.
It will take 2 days. If you want to use the teleportation array, you can stay in the city lord's mansion first. Thank you for your kindness. However, I'll come back in 2 days. Yi Xian directly refused. It was too wasteful to let him stay in the city lord's mansion for 2 days. He had to make use of these 2 days. The old man didn't try to persuade him to stay. He just watched Yi Xian leave, but his gaze was more focused on the Skeleton King. At this moment, he raised his eyebrows as if he had thought of something. He quickly turned around and entered the city lord's mansion. This Skeleton King, could it be? The elder thought of a terrifying possibility and directly found the city lord of Spirit West City. Head steward, why are you in such a hurry?
The city lord of Spirit West City was dealing with some matters. When he saw the anxious expression on the head steward's face, he could not help but ask.
City lord, a person came from outside and wanted to use the teleportation array. The head steward said. Isn't the teleportation array being repaired? Why do you have to report this to me?
The city lord of Spirit West City was very surprised. He had to deal with many things every day. If such a small matter had to be reported to him, he would be annoyed to death.
No, City Lord.
The most important thing is that behind that person, there is a 7th-level profound Death Realm Skeleton King. The head steward of the City Lord's mansion told the City Lord the truth.
What? Skeleton King?
The City Lord of Spirit West City was shocked. The Skeleton King was a rare heaven-connecting beast with outstanding combat strength. A few thousand years ago, there was a Skeleton King. Even a Samsara realm expert could not do anything to it. Not only that, the Skeleton King had even killed a Samsara realm expert.
Chapter 1505.
One had to know that the Xianxia family's ancestor was at the Samsara realm. Even such an expert had died in the hands of the Skeletal King, who was at the peak of the 9th tier of the profound death realm. It could be seen how powerful the Skeletal King was. Moreover, more than one Samsara realm expert had died in the hands of the Skeletal King.
Where did that person come from? Has the Skeletal King been subdued?
The Spirit West City Lord asked again. That person is only at the 6th tier of the profound death realm. However, he has an 8th tier profound death realm guard. I don't know where he came from. As for the Skeletal King, in my opinion, it should have been subdued by that person.
The City Lord Mansion's chief steward replied.
Regardless of whether it has been subdued or not, send someone to follow him and investigate his identity. After the Spirit West City Lord finished speaking, he prepared to send experts to follow him. But at this time, the city governor's mansion's chief steward suddenly took out a portrait from his interspatial ring and handed it to the city governor of Xianxia City. He said, City Governor, I found that the Skeleton King just now is a little similar to the one in the portrait. The Spirit West City Lord was stunned. He subconsciously glanced at the portrait and found that it was the Skeletal King that had killed the Xianxia family's ancestor. In other words, it was the one from thousands of years ago. Now, the City Lord Mansion's chief steward said that the one he saw was very similar to the one in the portrait.
How was this possible? Could it be that you saw wrongly?
Back then, the Skeletal King was at the peak of the 9th tier of the profound death realm. However, this one is only at the 7th tier of the profound death realm. The Spirit West City Lord said doubtfully. The Skeletal King was not an ordinary creature. After thousands of years, it was impossible for its strength to not increase. It was possible that it was at the Samsara realm.
7th tier of the profound death realm?
Impossible.
This I might have seen wrongly.
The City Lord Mansion's chief steward kept the portrait. You can go about your business. After the Spirit West City Lord finished speaking, he left directly. Then, he sent 3 experts to follow Yi Xian. He wanted to investigate Yi Xian's background first. If Yi Xian had a background, then he would plan again. If Yi Xian had no background and was just a wild crane, then he would kill Yi Xian and capture the skeletal monarch. The 3 experts from the City Lord's mansion who were sent to tail Yi Xian were all 9th-level profound death stage experts. In their opinion, it would not be a problem to capture Yi Xian, let alone tail him. At this time, Yi Xian was strolling around Spirit West City with Luo Luo and the others. Although he wanted to go out and kill monsters to level up, he wasn't in such a hurry. However, after strolling around for a while, he discovered that something was amiss. There were 3 ninth-layer profound death stage experts following him. Are they here for the Skeleton King? Xian narrowed his eyes and immediately reacted. There weren't many forces in the Spirit West City that could send out 3 ninth-stage profound death realm experts at once. The most likely candidate was the City Lord's mansion. Since that was the case, Xian ended his leisure time early and sent Luo Luo back to the planting space. Then, he brought Old Tree, Wei Zhentian, and Rib out of the city. The reason why he brought the skeletal monarch around wasn't to show off, but to carry out a baiting plan. What was a baiting plan? It was to use the skeletal monarch as bait to lure those who had ulterior motives. The skeletal monarch was only at the 7th level of the profound death realm. There would definitely be 8th or 9th level profound death realm experts who had designs on it. Coincidentally, Xian liked these kinds of people the most. These people would often come to give him benefits. They were like living Lei Feng. Therefore, he left the city this time to lure them out. I still need to use the teleportation formation of the City Lord's mansion. It's not good to start a massacre. However, if they really provoke me, I'll kill them all. Xian thought to himself. The teleportation formation wasn't important because it would be fine as long as he showed mercy to those formation experts. Moreover, as long as he broke through, the travel time would be greatly reduced. Half a month might even be reduced to 3 days. When the 3 ninth-level profound death realm experts who were tailing Xian saw Xian leaving the city, they concealed their auras and followed him. After following Xian for more than half an hour, Xian suddenly stopped in his tracks. The 3 of you, you've been following me for so long. Why don't you show yourself? Xian stopped and said without turning around. His voice was loud and clear, falling into the ears of the 3 tailing him. The 3 of them were shocked because Xian hadn't turned around to check since he left the city. Moreover, they were following him outside the range of the 8th level profound death realm expert's spiritual awareness. How did Xian discover them? You're quite capable indeed. The middle-aged man in the lead couldn't help but say. At this moment, Xian turned around and faced them. He pretended not to know anything and asked, "What's the matter?" "We're from the Spirit West City's City Lord mansion. The City Lord would like to invite you over for a gathering," the middle-aged man in the lead said. Without waiting for him to finish his sentence, Xian directly replied, "Oh, what if I don't go?" "If you don't go, then we can only offend you." The middle-aged man deliberately released a wave of pressure. He reckoned that Xian would definitely compromise after seeing their cultivation level. After all, they were 3 ninth-level profound death realm experts. Xian was only at the 6th level of the profound death realm. He only had an 8th level profound death realm guard and a 7th level profound death realm skeleton monarch. No matter how strong the skeleton monarch was, it couldn't fight against 9th level profound death realm experts, right? Since that's the case, I'll say this first. If you dare to attack me, you'll be in danger of dying. Xian reminded them like a good old man. When these words came out, the 3 experts couldn't help but laugh while holding their stomachs. Danger of dying? How humorous. I've heard about the skeleton monarch for a long time. Today, I'm here to see if the skeleton monarch is as strong as the rumors say. After the middle-aged man in the lead finished speaking, he walked out alone. It seemed like he was prepared to fight Xian and the other 2 experts alone. Sigh, ignorant people. Seeing this, Xian subconsciously shook his head. Since the other party wanted to fight the 3 of them alone, he naturally wouldn't be unreasonable. If that's the case, then let's fight, Xian said coldly. When his voice fell, the middle-aged man in the lead also stomped his feet and rushed towards Xian like a cheetah. Almost at the same time, the skeleton monarch's aura suddenly skyrocketed. Then it rushed out in large strides. The sky-shaking sword in its hand danced, and a slash that contained profound death chi broke through the air. Qilan's deterrence doubled all of his attributes. When combined with Megatron, it doubled all of his attributes again. At this moment, the skeleton monarch could unleash 3 times its combat strength. Originally, it could challenge those of a higher level. Although its cultivation level had dropped, its strength had actually increased. This was because it was too weak when it was at the 7th level of the profound death realm. This sword chi shocked the middle-aged man in the lead. Chapter 1506. Boom! The 2 energies collided and a shockwave swept out. This time, the 2 were evenly matched. The middle-aged man and the 2 people behind him were shocked. After all, this was a challenge that was 2 levels higher. Again! The middle-aged man was unwilling to give up and swung his sword again. But this time, the skeletal king suddenly sped up and dodged the sword. Then, it quickly approached the middle-aged man. The skeletal king's strongest point was not its attack, but its defense. Back then, even a Samsara realm expert could not break its armor. Now that all its attributes had been doubled, even a 9th-level profound death realm expert would not be able to break it. Therefore it was best at close combat. While the middle-aged man was stunned, the skeletal king approached him. He knew that he could not fight the skeletal king in close combat, so he quickly swung his sword and jumped away. But at this moment, boom! The skeletal king did not block or dodge. It took the sword head-on and was unscathed. Of course, this was just a casual attack from the middle-aged man. Its power was weaker than before, so it was natural that it could not break the skeletal king's defense. I'll let you see the power of my ribs. Yi Xian's eyes flickered. In the next moment, the skeletal king's big hand suddenly stretched out like a claw. Grip of the underworld. A strong suction force enveloped the middle-aged man, causing his heart to tremble. Before he could react, his whole body flew toward the skeletal king. So strong, I can't break away. The middle-aged man was shocked as he watched himself getting closer and closer to the skeletal king. Not good. The other 2 people's expressions changed drastically, and they directly attacked the skeletal king. However, they were still a step too late. Slash! The skeletal king's sword in its right hand suddenly swept out and directly slashed at the middle-aged man who was flying toward it. With a clang, the middle-aged man's weapon was cut in half. Then there was a crisp sound. Rip! The middle-aged man's head was thrown up, and his face was filled with shock. He would never have thought that he would be killed by the skeletal king in less than 2 seconds. Was this the strength of the skeletal king? If he had known earlier, he definitely wouldn't have been so careless and challenged the skeleton king alone. Unfortunately, it was already too late. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Yi Xian, who was watching the battle from afar, heard the sound of a system notification in his mind, and his killing intent skyrocketed. At the same time, Soul of Elegy's buff had also increased by quite a bit. Although it wasn't much, it was a godly skill that could stack permanently. The more Yi Xian watched the skeletal monarch kill a 9th-level profound death realm expert, the more he watched, the more satisfied he was. This underling of Wei Zhentian seemed to be much stronger than Wei Zhentian. Tisk. TSK. TSK. How terrifying. This old man is ashamed of his inferiority. Old Tree, who was watching from the side, couldn't help but sigh. The ones who were the most shocked were none other than the 2 9th-level profound death stage martial artists. The middle-aged man leading the group was stronger than them. However, he had been instantly killed. They even suspected that they were dreaming. Damn it, go and capture that brat. One of the martial artists said to his companion before charging towards the skeletal monarch. However, he was too naive. He had thought that Old Tree was just an ordinary 8th-level profound death realm expert. Haha, watch this old man take action. Old Tree laughed and immediately unleashed Remnant Flame. Boom! His opponent couldn't react in time and was sent flying with a punch. Fortunately, his profound life chi was vigorous and he instantly recovered from his injuries. On the other side, the other person was already fighting with the skeletal monarch. However, this person's body technique was extremely powerful. Furthermore, the skeletal monarch had already used its grip of hell, so it couldn't do anything to him. Yi Xian stood on the spot and watched the battle between the 4 of them. An unprecedented confidence rose in his heart. Wei Zhentian, Old Tree, and Rib Bone. With these 3 undying generals around, he didn't even have a chance to attack. However, this wasn't the true strength of the skeletal monarch. Come, army of the dead! Yi Xian gave the order to the skeletal monarch in his heart. In the next moment, the skeletal monarch's ghostly eyes flickered twice, and the enhancement of the elegy of souls decreased. Poof! The headless corpse on the ground suddenly trembled. Did it come back to life? This gave the skeletal monarch's opponent a shock. Before he could react, the headless corpse suddenly got up and charged towards him with a sword. Damn it, it really came back to life. This person was scared half to death. How could a headless person get up and fight? If it was a 2-headed blazing hound, it would still be able to survive even if it lost one of its heads. However, it was a human in front of him. Most importantly, the strength of this dead person didn't decrease at all. At that moment, it became a 2-on-1 situation. The army of the dead really consumed a lot of energy. Yixian shook his head helplessly. The death of the middle-aged man had increased the enhancement of the Elegy of Souls by a lot. However, resurrecting him had consumed more souls than what was gained, and by a lot. Yixian estimated that he would need to kill at least 2 or 3 people of the same level to resurrect a corpse. Moreover, the resurrection of the dead had a time limit. It was really a bottomless pit. Fortunately, this skill could be used without limit as long as one had a soul. There was no cooldown time, and it could still be used at critical moments. With the addition of the middle-aged man's corpse, the skeletal monarch's opponent was immediately defeated. He was killed by the skeletal monarch in just 3 rounds. On the other side, the 8th-tier profound death stage expert Old Tree also finished off his opponent in 2 seconds. Now, all 3 9th-tier profound death stage experts had fallen. From the beginning until now, the battle had only lasted 5 seconds. This was Yixian's current strength. Yixian's current strength could only be described as terrifying. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Yixian's killing intent and the soul pond of the Elegy of Souls had increased by a lot. He immediately used the strength of all creations to pick up the 3 yin and yang rings. There were many things inside, but it was not enough for Yixian to break through. At this moment, Yixian's eyes lit up. Old Tree caught his gaze from afar. Through his understanding of Yixian, he immediately understood what Yixian was going to do next. Young master, are you going to do something big? Old Tree raised his eyebrows and said with a smile. Although he looked amiable now, the battle intent in his body had already soared to the limit. Yes, since the Spirit West City Lord has invited us as guests, let's go take a look. Yixian nodded. Then his eyes flickered. He broke through the void and returned to Spirit West City. Moreover, he was directly in front of the Spirit West City Lord Mansion. Chapter 1507. When he saw Yixian and the other 2 emerge from the void door, the guard captain was shocked. What kind of technique is this? Why did they suddenly appear? Yixian did not waste any time. He immediately threw the 3 corpses over and said, "Call your city lord out." When the guard captain and the others saw the 3 corpses, they were so frightened that they nearly peed their pants. Weren't these 3 corpses the consecrators of the City Lord Mansion? These 3 corpses were all at the 9th level of the profound death realm. This. The guard captain was scared out of his wits. He immediately turned around and rushed into the City Lord Mansion. The entire City Lord Mansion would be shaken very soon. This time, Yixian took advantage of this opportunity to raise his killing intent to the upper limit. As expected, half a minute after the guard captain rushed into the City Lord Mansion, many people jumped out. Most of them were at the 8th and 9th level of the Profound Death Realm. One of the 9th level Profound Death Realm experts was the City Lord of Lingxi City, Shiman Yi, who had sent 3 people to tail Yixian. 3 consecrators. Shiman Yi glanced at the 3 corpses at the entrance of the City Lord Mansion and his heart trembled. Every 9th level Profound Death Realm consecrator was the foundation of the Shiman clan. Now that 3 of them had died, Shiman Yi was extremely heartbroken. You killed them? Shiman Yi turned to look at Yixian and shouted angrily. That's right. Yixian nodded and said, City Lord Shiman, didn't you invite me here? I merely rejected your invitation. These 3 people wanted to capture me and bring me to your City Lord Mansion. Of course, I warned them beforehand that they would die if they attacked me. Shiman Yi was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Now that the other party had come to him, he would make Yixian pay the price. Go capture him! Shiman Yi shouted angrily. In an instant, many experts swooped down. Since the 3 9th level Profound Death Realm consecrators were dead, the others did not dare to be careless and attacked with all their might. 15 8th level Profound Death Stage experts and 6 9th level Profound Death Stage experts. This was more than enough to deal with a Samsara stage expert. Despite being besieged by so many experts, Yixian's expression remained calm. He stretched his muscles and took out the scarlet flame sword. A feast of slaughter. Kill. In an instant, the skeletal monarch charged out with its heaven-shaking greatsword and activated a skill. Undying Fighting Soul. Activating the Undying Battle Soul, the skeletal monarch and Wei Zhentian's attributes doubled. Old Tree immediately appeared. His mission was to quickly kill the 8th level Profound Death Realm martial artist. As for Yixian, he couldn't stay idle this time either. Being at the 6th level of the Profound Death stage, it would be easy for him to deal with someone at the 8th level of the Profound Death stage. As long as the Feast of Slaughter was increased, killing a 9th level Profound Death stage expert would be as easy as killing a chicken. In just the first wave of attacks, the Skeletal King had used the eruption of its undying fighting soul to swiftly kill a 9th level Profound Death Realm expert. The Feast of Slaughter's buff increased by 20%. Dark Night Sky Curtain. As the sky darkened, he entered the darkness. Yixian had the assassination effect, which increased his movement speed and attack power. Coupled with the Skeletal Monarch's Evil Descent passive effect, his movement speed increased again. Killing Intent Explosion. Sky Burning Sword Technique. No one noticed Yixian, who had entered the darkness. He flashed behind an 8th level Profound Death stage expert and slashed out with his sword. Rip. A head was tossed aside and instantly burned to ashes by the endless flames. When the Spirit West City Lord saw that his side had lost a 9th level Profound Death stage expert in the first wave of attacks, he couldn't help but swallow his saliva in fear. He then quickly used a special method to send a message to the Shiman clan's old ancestor. Did he send a message? Yixian noticed his actions and immediately placed a death hunt command on him. He then quietly flashed behind the Shiman clan's old ancestor. Eye of Assassination. Killing Intent Explosion. Sky Burning Sword Technique. This sword was like a hot knife through butter. The Spirit West City Lord was at the back. He didn't expect Yixian to suddenly appear behind him and launch a sneak attack. In an instant, the Spirit West City Lord's head was chopped off. As for the Qianquan ring, it fell into the hands of Yixian. A City Lord would definitely have many good items in his Qianquan ring. Yixian checked it and revealed a satisfied smile. The items in this Qianquan ring were enough for him to break through to the 7th level of Profound Death stage. However, he didn't directly consume them all. Instead, he chose to consume them selectively. This was because he planned to reach the upper limit of his killing intent points and use them to exchange for devour points. Ding! Wei Zhentian has broken through. Currently at 8th level of Profound Death stage. Ding! Skeletal Monarch has broken through. Currently at 8th level of Profound Death stage. 2 system notifications rang. 2 warlords had broken through. Yixian was also on the verge of breaking through. Just nice. After breaking through, the combined strength of the Skeletal Monarch and Wei Zhentian increased by several times. No one could withstand a single strike from them. The group of experts was instantly killed. The Killing Feast's amplification continued to increase. It directly broke through the threshold of 1 time and reached 1.5 times. The commotion was so great that it had spread throughout the entire City Lord mansion. The 2 old ancestors of the Shiman family heard the commotion and quickly rushed out. Stop! One of the old ancestors of the Shiman family roared at the sky, trying to stop Yixian. A Samsara stage expert. Yixian looked at the figure in the sky and couldn't help but smile. Thousands of years ago, the Shiman family tried to subdue the Skeletal Monarch. Not only did a large number of experts fall, but even the only Samsara stage expert of the Shiman family was killed by the Skeletal Monarch. Unexpectedly, after thousands of years, the Shiman family didn't decline because of this. Instead, they produced 2 Samsara stage experts. This was considered good. It was a pity that they were going to fall today. Before the 2 old ancestors arrived, the Skeletal Monarch, who had broken through, had joined forces with the old tree to kill everyone. When the 2 Samsara stage old ancestors saw the Skeletal Monarch, their bodies trembled subconsciously. Skeletal Monarch? The 2 old ancestors widened their eyes in shock. They naturally knew about the battle back then. It was because the Skeletal Monarch killed the Samsara stage old ancestor that they obtained a large amount of cultivation resources. Fortunately, they didn't disappoint and both of them broke through to the Samsara stage. That was why the Shiman family didn't decline and became even more prosperous. Roar! At this moment, the Skeletal Monarch suddenly roared furiously. Its roar was strong and powerful. When one of the Samsara stage experts heard it, he was shocked again. It's you? He recognized it. He recognized the Skeleton King because he had also participated in that battle back then. However, he was only at the 9th level of the Profound Death stage back then. When the other old ancestor heard this, He couldn't help but be stunned for a moment before he reacted. Impossible, the skeletal monarch has been missing for thousands of years. Moreover, it was at the peak of the 9th level of the profound death stage. Chapter 1508. Back then, the Skeleton King was at the peak of the 9th tier of the profound death realm. With its powerful strength, it had killed a large number of profound death realm experts and a few Samsara realm experts before disappearing. The Skeleton King in front of them was only at the 8th tier of the profound death realm. How could it be the one from thousands of years ago? No, I won't be mistaken. I saw it kill my father with my own eyes. I will never forget that cry. The young Samsara realm expert said firmly. If this is the case, then this time, is the Skeleton King here to seek revenge? Before the other person could speak, Xianxia said with a smile, "You're right. It's the Skeleton King from thousands of years ago. It's just taking a nap." Hearing Xianxia's words, the two of them narrowed their eyes. Humph, it doesn't matter. How dare you kill so many experts from the City Lord Mansion? Today you'll be buried with them. The young man snorted and pounced toward Xianxia. As for the other middle-aged man, he also directly attacked. The Skeleton King that had killed a few Samsara realm experts was at the peak of the 9th tier of the profound death realm. Now it was only at the 8th tier of the profound death realm. What was there to be afraid of? After all, they were two people working together. Today, he was going to avenge his ancestors. However, they had underestimated the strength of Xianxia and the other two. Little Tian, Rib Bone, the two of you deal with one. Old Tree and I will work together. Xianxia immediately gave the order. Although the Killing Feast's amplification had doubled, he was only at the 6th tier of the profound death realm. If he did not make a breakthrough, he might not be able to fight against a Samsara realm expert even if he worked together with Old Tree. Therefore, he still needed help. Army of the Dead. With the souls that he had collected earlier, Xianxia made the Skeleton King revive two 9th tier profound death realm experts to join the battle. What? The young man was shocked. How could a dead person come back to life? However, he could not care less. Kill. On the other side, the Skeleton King that had activated its undying fighting soul was already fighting with the middle-aged man. Bang! 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 With 3 times amplification, the Skeleton King and Wei Zhentian could unleash 4 times their combat strength. In their first clash, they were not at a disadvantage. The middle-aged man's face was gloomy. Although he wanted to kill the Skeleton King to avenge his ancestors, he had to admit that the Skeleton King was terrifyingly strong. Although this strength was weaker than it was thousands of years ago, in comparison, the strength of the Skeletal King had increased. After all, it was only at the 8th tier of the profound death realm. The key was that the Skeleton King was very violent in battle and did not defend at all. His attack could indeed break through the Skeleton King's defense, but in the blink of an eye, the Skeleton King's injuries were healed. The Skeletal King's armor was also a part of his body, and with the immortal Phoenix bloodline, he could recover it in the blink of an eye. He was like a cockroach that couldn't be killed. This middle-aged man reckoned that he wouldn't be able to deal with the Skeleton King, so he could only hope that the youth on the other side would quickly deal with Xianxia and the others, then join forces with him to kill the Skeleton King. Ribs, I allow you to use that move. Xianxia transmitted his voice to the Skeleton King. The move he was referring to was the Skeleton King and Wei Zhentian's combined ultimate move, Sky-Shattering Meteor Slash. The Skeleton King could not hold it in any longer. However, it was not the best time yet. After all, this move could only be used once. It would be a tragedy if it missed. Xianxia was joining forces with the Old Tree and the other 2 battle corpses to attack the young great ancestor. They were evenly matched in a 4-on-1 situation. Xianxia had just used Blade Storm and Unicorn's Descent. The former was still on cooldown, while the latter was only at 30%. Hence they could not be used. In this situation, they could only rely on the Skeleton King and Wei Zhentian. The Slaughter Feast's amplification effect was about to end. If they lost, Xianxia would have to leave temporarily. Xianxia would wait anyway. The Skeleton King was now at the 8th tier of the profound death realm. He had killed countless experts thousands of years ago. This meant that his combat awareness was still good. Right now, he was waiting for the right opportunity. Suddenly, his ghostly eyes flashed as he found a flaw in the middle-aged man. Body fusion technique, Sky-Shattering Flowing Rock Slash. As the Skeleton King waved his hands, a dark gray sword chi broke through the air. What? After feeling this powerful slash, the middle-aged man subconsciously swallowed his saliva. However, he did not have the ability to dodge this slash. Rip! The middle-aged man was instantly cut in half at the waist. In the blink of an eye, he was petrified and fell from the sky. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Yi Xian heard the system notification from afar. His killing intent skyrocketed. A Samsara realm expert was killed in an instant. Moreover, the wound was not a vital point. It was only at the waist. Unfortunately, the sky-shattering flowing rock slash did not rely on cutting. Instead, it relied on petrification. The middle-aged man's organs were all petrified. The mysterious life chi could not restore them at all. Hence, he died naturally. This scene shocked everyone. It is indeed powerful. It killed a Samsara realm expert in an instant. Awesome! Yi Xian praised in his heart. Then, the Skeleton King returned with the dead man's interspatial ring and threw it to Yi Xian. Now, it was 5 against 1. Even if the Skeleton King did not use the sky-shattering flowing rock slash, he could still exhaust the Samsara realm expert to death. Now that he had joined the battle with Yi Xian, the middle-aged man would be killed in less than 10 rounds. Damn it! How is this possible? The young man still could not believe his eyes. The middle-aged man, who was stronger than him, had been killed in an instant. This was too unreal. The middle-aged man was a Samsara realm expert. However, the gap between the profound death realm and the Samsara realm was not as big as the gap between the profound life realm and the profound death realm. After all, there was a new type of energy, which was the profound death chi, in order to advance from the profound life realm to the profound death realm. However, advancing from the profound death realm to the Samsara realm only gave one the ability to reincarnate on their own. The benefits of advancing one's cultivation level were not as great as one would expect. The young man's face grew darker as he fought. He was thinking of a way to escape. However, under the siege of 5 people, he could not fight back at all. Just as he turned around, Old Tree appeared in a flash and gave him a punch. Escape. Impossible. Ah, I will fight it out with all of you. The young man suddenly went berserk and roared at the sky. The profound life chi and profound death chi in his body surged and gathered in his hand. It was a ball of light. Half of it was black and half of it was white. Then, the young man threw the black and white ball of light in his hand at Yi Xian. This is the reincarnation attack? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. The reincarnation attack was an energy formed by mixing the profound life chi and profound death chi. It could only be formed when one reached the Samsara realm. Chapter 1509. Simply put, the young man wanted to perish together with Yi Xian. As long as the Samsara attack injured Yi Xian would probably have to reincarnate. Although Yi Xian still had a clone in the Blood Rock continent, he did not want to be injured by the Samsara attack. It was best to be careful. Death Pursuit Order. Eye of Assassination. In an instant, Yi Xian flashed behind the young man and slashed down with his sword. Killing Intent Explosion. Sky-burning sword technique. The young man's Samsara attack missed. Not only that, but he also lost sight of Yi Xian, which stunned him. In the next moment, he felt a burning sensation on his back. Then, the Old Tree and Skeleton King quickly followed. Waning Flame. The Old Tree and Skeleton King attacked together. Although the young man blocked the Old Tree's fire fist, his head was chopped off by the Skeleton King. Another Samsara realm expert had fallen. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Yi Xian's killing intent had increased once again. The Skeleton King's Soul of Dirge had also increased by a lot. Now it was almost 1%. Now that the 2 Samsara realm ancestors of the Ximen family had fallen, there was no need to fear the rest. Act according to the plan. Yi Xian said to Wei Zhentian and the Old Tree. The plan was to kill all the 8th level profound death realm experts of the Ximen family and above. Although some of them were innocent, they were in the Ximen family. If Yi Xian was not strong enough this time, he would definitely die. Once he fell into their hands, Yi Xian's fate would not be as simple as death. He might not even be able to die. If the 2 ancestors had not appeared, these people would have surrounded them. Therefore, they could not let a single one of them go. Survival of the fittest was just that cruel. When the remaining people saw that the 2 Samsara realm ancestors had died, they were scared out of their wits and scattered. Yi Xian, the old tree, Wei Zhentian, the skeletal monarch, and the 2 battle corpses intercepted and killed him. The Shiman clan was not weak at all. After the death of the 2 samsara stage-old ancestors, there were still close to 10 9th-level profound death stage experts who had died. More than 48th level profound death stage experts had died as well. Their combined wealth was enormous, but Yi Xian resisted the urge to devour them because he still needed to raise his killing intent to the upper limit and then exchange it for devour points. Since all the experts at or above the 8th level of the profound death stage had fallen, Yi Xian's attention was now on the experts at the 7th level of the profound death stage. However, this time, they would only rob and not kill, unless someone was stupid enough to resist or speak rudely. Soon, the entire Shiman clan was plundered. Unfortunately, Yi Xian's killing intent was not enough. Just a little more. Yi Xian felt very helpless. Could it be that he had to go out and kill some heavenly-reaching beasts? At this moment, he had a flash of inspiration. After the City Lord Mansion was finished, there was still the Shiman clan's properties. Immediately, he left the City Lord Mansion and split up. When the Shiman clan saw that the murderous god had left, they heaved a sigh of relief and quickly left the City Lord Mansion. Thousands of years ago, the Shiman clan had made a failed decision to try and subdue the Skeletal King. If not for that, why would the Skeletal King come for them? Soon, Yi Xian had browsed through all the properties of the Shiman clan. Ding! Host's killing intent has reached the upper limit. Would you like to exchange it for devour points? Yes. Yi Xian replied in his mind. Ding! Killing intent cleared to 0. Host has obtained 1 devour point. Now, Yi Xian had 3 devour points. Now that the killing intent had been exchanged, the next step was to break through. Ding! Host has broken through. Currently at 7th level of the profound death stage. Ding! Host has broken through. Currently at 8th level of the profound death stage. Ding! Wei Zhentian has broken through. Currently at 9th level of the profound death stage. Ding! Wei Zhentian has broken through. Currently at 1st level of the samsara realm. Ding! Skeletal King has broken through. Currently at 9th level of the profound death stage. Ding! Skeletal King has broken through. Currently at 1st level of the samsara realm. Ding! Spirit of Ashes has broken through. Currently at 9th level of the profound death stage. Ding! Spirit of Ashes has broken through. Currently at 1st level of the samsara realm. This breakthrough was a huge leap forward. Yi Xian had broken through to 8th level of the profound death stage. The old tree and the other 2 had broken through the shackles and reached the samsara realm. Previously, the Skeletal King was only at the peak of 9th level of the profound death stage. After following Yi Xian for a few days, he had broken through the shackles and reached the samsara realm. At this moment, the Skeletal King could not help but sigh in his heart. He had definitely followed the right master. Now, Yi Xian and the other 2's strength had improved tremendously. They were now qualified to look for the Death Abyss Overlord, Qi Xianyue. So what if he was at 3rd level of the samsara realm and the overlord of the profound death battlefield? Just you wait. I will find you very soon and trample you to death. Yi Xian thought to himself. Although he had broken through, the unicorn's descent and sky-shattering flowing rock slash were still on cooldown. The former was at 60% while the latter was at 70%. Therefore, Yi Xian wanted to restore these 2 skills first. Then, he returned to the City Lord's mansion and found the teleportation array. However, there was no one around the teleportation array. The people who repaired the teleportation array should be dead. Yi Xian was a little helpless. At 6th level of the profound death stage, he would need at least half a month to reach the edge of the camp. However, since he had broken through to 8th level of the profound death stage, it would only take him 2 to 3 days. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly heard a system notification. Ding! The teleportation array is damaged at 30%. Repair it. The system notification shocked Yi Xian. He did not expect it to be able to repair the teleportation array. Not bad, not bad. However, he did not agree immediately. Instead, he looked at it. The amount of energy required to repair the teleportation array was still acceptable to Yi Xian. As for the repair time, it would only take half a day. It only takes half a day? Yi Xian's eyes lit up. He felt that it was possible to buy it. He estimated that it would take him 2 to 3 days to get there. However, if he reached the edge of the camp first and entered the northern camp, he would be able to kill his enemies and obtain battle merits. This was definitely better than traveling by himself. Begin the repair. Yi Xian immediately made up his mind. Then, the teleportation array began to repair itself. Yi Xian could afford to wait for half a day. However, while he was waiting for the teleportation array to be repaired, a few people suddenly appeared. Previously, when he was killing, no one dared to come close. Almost everyone in the city lord's mansion had left. Now, there was suddenly a person who dashed over. He was quite bold. City Lord, this is bad. An enemy has infiltrated Xianxia City and killed people. Chapter 15:10. City Lord. Yi Xian raised his brows when he heard the name. When did he become the City Lord? He guessed that the other party thought that he was going to take over the City Lord mansion, so he had eliminated the Ximen clan. What enemy? Yi Xian did not care about the name and asked directly. It seems to be the people who infiltrated Xianxia City and destroyed the teleportation array a few days ago. They also caused a ruckus last time. However, it seems that a Samsara realm expert has arrived this time. The person said. Samsara realm? Yi Xian's eyes couldn't help but light up. This was truly a clash of words. Because he had just broken through to the 8th level of the profound death realm, the 3 generals under him were all at the 1st level of the Samsara realm. He wouldn't even be afraid of a 3rd-level Samsara realm expert. It could be said that he was almost invincible in the profound death battlefield. Where are they? Yi Xian immediately asked. I'm not sure. They seem to be massacring the city. The person shook his head. Massacring the city? Isn't that forbidden? Yi Xian was stunned. Yes. If a Samsara realm expert massacred an ordinary person, a manager would step in to stop them. However, they only kill those at the 8th tier of the profound death realm and above. This is allowed. Yi Xian understood when he heard this. Originally, this matter had nothing to do with them. However, he had killed all the experts from the Ximen clan. Therefore, he had to step in this matter. Otherwise, all the experts in Xianxia City would be wiped out. He immediately flew out of the City Lord mansion and asked the old tree and the Skeleton King to split up and look for those people. Rumble! Yi Xian quickly rushed over when he heard the sounds of battle coming from a certain place in Xianxia City. These enemies should be from the northern camp, which meant that they were on Qi Xuanyue's side. These people were in groups of 2 or 3. Some were at the 8th tier of the profound death realm while others were at the 9th tier of the profound death realm. In any case, the rules did not allow one to kill those 3 levels lower than oneself. Yi Xian was at the 8th tier of the profound death realm. Killing those who had not reached the Samsara realm was as easy as killing chickens. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. System notifications rang out one after another. Even if Yi Xian did not make a move, his killing intent value still increased. After all, the old tree and the others were also dealing with those people. Young master, there is a 1st-level Samsara realm cultivator here. The old tree suddenly transmitted its voice through the air. All right, I'll go now. Before Yi Xian could finish his sentence, the old tree interrupted him. Oh, I killed him with a sneak attack. Yi Xian. At the same level, old tree was truly heaven-defying. He could instantly kill his opponent, and Yi Xian did not even need to provide support. On the other side, the skeletal monarch, who was at the 1st level of the Samsara realm, had also clashed with another Samsara realm expert. In less than 3 seconds, the skeletal monarch had been killed. In terms of strength, the combination of the skeletal monarch and Wei Zhentian was stronger than the old tree. However, in terms of sneak attacks, the old tree was definitely the best. It had only been a short while, but 2 Samsara realm experts had already fallen. It was a pity that only the old tree had a battle imprint. The skeletal monarch did not have one. At this moment, Yi Xian suddenly felt a powerful aura. 2nd-level Samsara realm? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. However, with his current cultivation level, what was a 2nd-level Samsara realm expert to him? He immediately asked the old tree, the skeletal monarch, and Wei Zhentian to gather. At this moment, this 2nd-level Samsara realm expert was heading towards the Spirit West City Governor's residence. It seemed like he wanted to fight with the Ximen family. Unfortunately, he did not know that the Ximen family experts were all dead. This second-level Samsara realm expert suddenly discovered the old tree and the skeletal monarch, and he paused in his tracks. The information he had received did not mention the old tree and the skeletal monarch, these two Samsara realm experts. Where did they come from? Taking advantage of this opportunity, the old tree and the skeletal monarch charged over. This time, the old tree did not charge over first. Instead, he waited for the skeletal monarch and Wei Zhentian to arrive and launch their attacks before he made his move. Canyon. This second-level Samsara realm expert experienced being attacked from both sides. The skeletal monarch attacked from the front and the old tree launched a sneak attack from the back. What? This person was extremely shocked. He had heard about the skeletal monarch before. However, he was only at the peak of the 9th level profound death realm a few thousand years ago, so he did not dare to come over. Today, he did not expect to encounter a skeletal monarch that was even stronger than the skeletal monarch who had killed a Samsara realm expert a few thousand years ago. In his mind, a thought of retreating subconsciously appeared. However, if he wanted to leave, he had to deal with this attack first. However, the skeletal monarch's attack power was extraordinary. Even he, who was at the 2nd level profound death realm, could not withstand it. Clang! With a crisp sound, the weapon in the 2nd level Samsara realm expert's hand broke. Then, his waist was slashed by the skeletal monarch. However, this attack was not the sky-shattering flowing rock slash, so he did not die. At this moment, he could not be bothered to use the mysterious life chi to heal his injuries. This was because the old tree, who was not weak, was launching a sneak attack from behind. Bang! The old tree punched the 2nd level Samsara realm expert's back. The scorching flames burned his skin and flesh, causing him to bleed profusely. The first round of attacks was over. Unfortunately, he could not dodge the attacks of the skeletal monarch and the old tree even at his peak. Now that he was severely injured, it was even more impossible. No! The 2nd level Samsara realm expert roared at the sky. The mysterious life chi and mysterious death chi in his body quickly circulated. Unfortunately, it was useless. In the next moment, his head was chopped off by the skeletal monarch and he died instantly. Although the Samsara realm experts could reincarnate on their own, they could not just reincarnate as they wished. They had to be fully prepared. It was almost impossible to reincarnate in the middle of a battle. The ancestor of the Xianxia family was helping a direct descendant with a poor aptitude to reincarnate. He had already condensed the reincarnation pearl but did not expect Yi Xian to suddenly appear. He was prepared to use the reincarnation pearl to perish together with Yi Xian. Unfortunately, he did not succeed. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. After the death of the 2nd level Samsara realm expert, Yi Xian heard a system notification. The amplification of the Skeleton Emperor's Elegy of Souls had also increased by quite a bit. If it continued to increase, the skeletal monarch's amplification might double, triple, or even 10 times. The Elegy of Souls is too powerful. I should find some time to kill monsters and increase the amplification at a certain level, Yi Xian thought to himself. There was no limit to the amplification of the Elegy of Souls. As long as the skeletal monarch remained at the 1st level of the Samsara realm and continued to kill heaven-reaching beasts, the amplification would continue to increase. Furthermore, even if the skeletal monarch broke through to the 2nd level of the Samsara realm, the amplification would not decrease. When Yi Xian subdued the skeletal monarch, he subconsciously glanced at it. The Elegy of Souls was actually worth 3 devour points. This was the most valuable skill he had ever seen. Chapter 15:11. Let's continue searching. Following which, Yi Xian and the other two quickly left. After killing another Samsara realm expert, Spirit West City finally calmed down. Killing people from the same faction didn't give any battle merits. However, Yi Xian had killed 4 Samsara realm experts, and one of them was at the 2nd level of the Samsara realm. This battle merit was quite a large amount of wealth. However, these battle merits could not be exchanged in Spirit West City. Furthermore, Yi Xian was about to rush to the Northern Territory. Hence, he could only keep them for now. The people in Spirit West City were fortunate that the Xianxia clan had been destroyed. Otherwise, the 2 patriarchs of the Xianxia clan would not have been able to stop these people. Half a day later. Ding! The teleportation array has been repaired. The system notification sounded. Upon hearing the system notification, Yi Xian did not hesitate and immediately entered the teleportation array. Hua! The teleportation array began to operate and Yi Xian's surroundings began to change. He had destroyed the Shiman clan, but that did not mean that he wanted to be the city lord. The position of City Lord of Spirit West City could be given to anyone who wanted it. Very soon, Yi Xian completed the teleportation array and landed in a cave. He brought the Skeleton King and Old Tree out and looked into the distance. As long as we cross that mountain range, we will be in the northern camp. At that time, everyone will be our enemy and we will become everyone's target, Yi Xian said slowly. That's good. We can kill to our heart's content. Old Tree rubbed his hands together. Of course, their target was the Abyss Lord of the Death Abyss, Xianxia. Back then, Xianxia was only a phantom and the will of death could not hurt Yi Xian. He wondered if the strongest person in the Death Abyss battlefield would be as powerful as the rumors said when they met the real person. Let's go. Yi Xian did not waste any time and immediately led the three generals into the mountain range. This mountain range was the border between the northern and western camp. It could be said that people were coming and going. Yi Xian met some people from the same camp on the way. They were all entering the enemy's territory to kill their enemies and obtain battle merits. Of course, there were also some people from the northern camp, including those at the Profound Death Stage and Samsara Stage. Along the way, Yi Xian had killed 3 great Samsara Stage experts and over 10 9th-level Profound Death Stage experts. The Death's Abyss is the most dangerous place in the northern camp. Xianxia lives there and she has a lot of experts under her command, Yi Xian muttered as he held the map he had obtained from the 2nd-level Samsara Stage experts Jianghu and Ring. Young master, should we go directly or kill our way there? The old tree asked. Since we're already here, then there's no need to rush. Let's kill our way through. Yi Xian answered without thinking. Even though he was very powerful now, Xianxia was at the 3rd level of the Samsara realm. Coupled with Azura's Eye and the experts under him, it would not be easy to deal with her. Therefore, Yi Xian wanted to make another breakthrough before heading to the Death's Abyss. Then, he would kill his way through the entire Death's Abyss and use this opportunity to break through to the Samsara stage. If they traveled normally, they would reach the Death's Abyss in at most 7 days. There were many cities and factions along the way, and they would be surrounded and attacked the moment they appeared. Yi Xian carefully looked at the map and decided on 3 routes. This time, he wanted to sweep through the entire northern camp. The 3 of them immediately split up. After all, they had the special positioning system of the void and could break through the void to arrive at the other side at any time. As the upper limit of the Xian death battlefield was at the 3rd level of the Samsara stage, the factions along the way were not very strong. The strongest was at most at the 2nd level of the Samsara stage. This was nothing to Yi Xian. At this moment, Yi Xian was wondering if he should reach the upper limit of killing intent when he was at the 8th level of the Profound Death stage. With so many factions added together, it should be enough. At this thought, Yi Xian increased his speed. Half a day later, they arrived at the first city. Enemies at the 8th level of the Profound Death stage. Kill. Before Yi Xian even entered the city, there were already people coming to their deaths. When these people saw that Yi Xian was only at the 8th level of the Profound Death stage, they immediately surrounded him. There were some at the 8th level of the Profound Death stage and some at the 9th level of the Profound Death stage. With Yi Xian's cultivation level, he could even kill Samsara stage experts. These cultivators were not a threat to him at all. After dealing with the people outside the city, Yi Xian broke through the void and separated himself from the old tree and the skeletal king. He then brought them over. Let's go and massacre the city. Yi Xian roared and directly brought the old tree, the skeletal king and Wei Zhentian into the city. It was very easy to identify people from the enemy camp. One could sense them as long as they were near. Even if they were far away, one could use the battle imprint between their eyebrows to identify them. The battle imprint of people from the enemy camp would be white. If they were from the enemy camp, it would be red. One could tell whether they were friend or foe at a glance. It's actually the skeletal king. How rare. This person is really bold. He actually dares to come in when he is merely at the 8th level of the Profound Death stage. That's right. Only the bald old man and the skeletal king are slightly stronger. However, the city lord is a 2nd-level Samsara stage expert. He should be able to kill them easily. Forget it. There are so many of us. Kill. Immediately, countless experts leaped into the sky and directly attacked Yi Xian and the other 2. Even a second-level samsara stage expert would not be able to withstand the combined attacks of so many experts. However, Yi Xian did not intend to block them. Kill anyone who is a threat. Yi Xian roared in his mind. The old tree and the other two received the order and quickly started the massacre. Although there were experts at the second level of the samsara realm in this city, they had already killed people at this level. It wasn't much, so Yi Xian didn't even need to use the slaughter feast. Immediately, the sky above the city was filled with a bloody rain. Everyone who dared to leap into the sky was killed. Furthermore, they were all killed in one strike. The old tree, Wei Zhentian, and the skeletal king were all at the first level of the samsara stage. There was no need for the skeletal king and Wei Zhentian to merge to deal with these people. In just a few seconds, dozens of people were killed. Yi Xian was mainly responsible for collecting the interspatial rings. Yi Xian did not intend to devour these items as he wanted to reach the 8th level of the profound death stage. He was already at the peak of the 8th level of the profound death stage. If he devoured any more, he would break through and all his previous efforts would be wasted. 10 seconds later, there was no one in the sky except for Yi Xian and the other three. At the same time, several figures flew over from afar. All of them were at the samsara stage. Bastards! How dare you behave so atrociously here? You're courting death. How dare you? It has been 10 years since anyone dared to massacre a city in Winterwind City. I'm going to tear you into pieces. These people were from the forces in Winterwind City. After they appeared, they immediately charged towards Yi Xian. Chapter 15:12. Kill! Yi Xian looked at them and shouted in a low voice. There were a total of 4 first-level samsara realm experts. Yi Xian dealt with one, Old Tree dealt with another, and Skeleton King and Wei Zhentian dealt with 2. These people were quite strong, and Yi Xian did not want to waste his skills. Therefore, he only delayed one of them. As for Old Tree, he killed one of them in 3 seconds and quickly went to support Yi Xian. Bang! Not many people could defend against Old Tree's sneak attack. Immediately, Yi Xian's opponent died a violent death. 2 of the 4 great samsara stage experts had died in an instant. However, before Old Shu could reinforce the Skeleton King, he had killed one of them himself. As for the last person, his expression changed drastically when he saw that the other 3 had died. He immediately turned around and left. Unfortunately, Old Shu had already flashed behind him, and as soon as he turned around, he was hit by a flaming fist from Old Shu. Bang! His chest was instantly melted. Old Tree's fist had turned his heart into ashes. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Another system notification rang out. The 4 samsara stage experts had all fallen. Yi Xian kept the last person's Qian Kuan ring. After which, he scanned his surroundings and realized that there were not many people left. Those who had yet to leave were the weaker cultivators. They were not afraid of Yi Xian. After all, there were 3 managers constantly patrolling the Xian death battlefield. If Yi Xian dared to attack them, he would definitely be killed by the managers. Let's continue. Yi Xian, together with Old Tree and the other 2, continued their search. Anyone who was at the 8th level Xian Death Realm and above was their target. Killing an 8th level Xian Death Realm expert was worth 100,000 battle credits. Killing a 9th level Xian Death Realm expert was worth 300,000 battle credits. As for Samsara Realm experts, they were worth 1,000,000 battle credits each. By now, Yi Xian and the others had accumulated more than 30 million battle credits. If they returned to their camp, they would be able to exchange for cultivation resources to break through to the peak of the 9th level Xian Death Realm. However, Yi Xian was currently stuck in the realm. Even if they had so many resources, it would be useless. My killing intent value is less than 1/5. It seems that I still have to kill a lot more. Yi Xian thought in his heart as he directly arrived in front of the Eastwind City's City Lord's mansion. Before he could even approach, he discovered a large number of profound death stage experts and a few samsara stage experts waiting in the air above the City Lord's mansion. Attack! The City Lord of Dongfeng City did not waste. Yi Xian was an enemy from another camp, so it was useless to ask about his background. In the eyes of the City Lord of Winterwind, Yi Xian was already a dead man. This battle probably wasn't that simple, so Yi Xian had no choice but to start a feast of slaughter. Ribs, undying fighting soul. At the same time that the feast of slaughter began, Yi Xian also gave the Skeleton King an order. The undying battle soul doubled the attributes of the skeletal monarch and Wei Zhentian. However, this did not mean that their battle strength would only double. This was because with their attributes doubled, they could kill martial artists of the same level as easily as killing chickens. A great battle broke out. In the eyes of this group of experts, the skeleton monarch was the greatest threat. Hence, Rib Bones was directly besieged. However, since all of his attributes had been tripled, his defense had reached the limit. Even a Samsara stage expert wouldn't be able to break through his defense so easily. Furthermore, the skeletal monarch had the immortal divine phoenix bloodline. Even if he was injured, he would be able to recover immediately. After the skeletal monarch and Wei Zhentian merged, there was only one word to describe them: invincible. In the first clash, the skeletal monarch used the grip of the underworld and split a Samsara realm expert into two halves. Yi Xian's amplification also increased by 20% in an instant. Waning flames. Waning flames. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the old tree quickly killed the 9th-tier profound death realm martial artists. Although the enhancement of these people was not as good as that of a Samsara realm expert, it still accumulated. In the blink of an eye, it also increased by 20%. In addition to those killed by Yi Xian himself, the enhancement had increased by 50%. The strength of Yi Xian and the others had already shocked this group of people. However, the three of them had actually challenged this group of people. Had the world changed? Quickly ask the patriarch to come out of seclusion. The Winterwind City Lord roared angrily. Immediately, a 9th-tier profound death realm martial artist turned around and left. This time, Yi Xian did not stop him and allowed him to leave. The patriarch they were referring to should be a 2nd-tier Samsara realm expert. Yi Xian had already killed people of this level. Even if he came, it would be fine. This battle was completely one-sided. Soon, Yi Xian's enhancement doubled, while the other side had already lost half of their martial artists. Stop! An angry roar sounded from afar. Yi Xian turned around and saw an old man rapidly rushing over. Old tree, stop him, Yi Xian said in his mind. All right. Old tree quickly rushed towards the old man when he heard this. At this moment, there were only 2 first-tier Samsara realm martial artists left in the city lord's residence. As for the profound death realm martial artists, there were less than 10 of them and they had suffered heavy casualties. Killing intent eruption. Heaven scorching sword technique. Before this ancestor came over, Yi Xian wanted to kill everyone. That way it would be easier. Scram. The old man immediately roared when he saw old tree. A wave of profound death chi gushed out and shrouded the old tree. Waning flames. Old tree's agility was not something an ordinary person could compare to. He instantly dodged the attack and flashed behind the old man to punch him. Bang! The old man was not weak and was able to block the punch. At this moment, his heart was burning with anxiety. This was because his sons were dying one after another, and he was unable to help them. He could only snort in anger. On the other side, the skeletal king used his powerful strength to kill another Samsara realm martial artist. Now, there was only one person left. Ribs, I will deal with the rest. You go and help old tree, Yi Xian said directly. When the skeletal king heard this, the ghost fire in his eyes flickered and he charged towards the 2nd-level Samsara realm martial artist. Yi Xian could deal with the remaining 1st-level Samsara realm martial artist. Brat, you're courting death. The last person also heard this because Yi Xian had shouted. This made him very angry. It was fine that the skeletal king was powerful, but how dare a mere 8th-level profound death realm brat speak so arrogantly? You're courting death. Immediately, this person charged towards Yi Xian. TCH, I'll kill you in an instant. Yi Xian snorted in his heart and immediately used the death hunt token to mark his opponent. Just as his opponent's attack was about to hit him, he suddenly used the assassin's eye. His figure disappeared and reappeared behind the other party. Chapter 15:13. While this person was mocking Yi Xian for overestimating himself, Yi Xian flashed behind him. Eye of assassination. Killing intent explosion. Heaven incinerating sword technique. Yi Xian did not wait for him to react and slashed with his sword. Rip. A head flew into the air. Instant kill. Now, all the 1st-level Samsara realm experts in the city governor's mansion were dead. The remaining people were no threat to Yi Xian and were all killed by Yi Xian within a few seconds. In the distant battlefield, the old tree and the skeleton king had joined forces to suppress the enemy until they could not catch their breath. Back in Spirit West City, the second-level Samsara realm expert had been instantly killed because of his carelessness. Today, the old man in front of him was much stronger and had lasted for 5 seconds. However, he could not hold on for much longer because Xianxia had already attacked. Death Pursuit Order. Eye of Assassination. After the old tree, Xianxia flashed behind the old man and slashed with his sword. Pang! The old man saw that the old tree was in front of him but had neglected Xianxia. He was hit in the back by the sword and immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. His expression was gloomy. He reckoned that he would probably die here today, but he was unwilling to give up. Therefore, he directly took out a black bird from his universe ring and threw it into the sky at the risk of being killed. The Lord of the Abyss will avenge me. The old man roared at the sky before he was killed by the skeleton king with a single slash. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Xianxia's killing intent had increased and the skeleton king's requiem of souls had also increased. After this battle, it had increased to 2%. If this happened a few more times, it would not be a problem for it to increase to 10%. Seeing that even the old city governor had died, the spectating cultivators in the distance were all scared away. Xianxia wasn't in the mood to chase after them, so he started to plunder the city lord's mansion. Although he was currently stuck in the middle of his cultivation level, he still needed natural treasures. As long as his killing intent value reached the upper limit, he might be able to directly cross the 9th level of the profound death stage and break through to the samsara stage. Then, Xianxia quickly left. That was just a death beak bird. It's probably a messenger to the Lord of the Abyss of Death, Xianxia thought to himself. However, this was of no use at all because by the time Xianxia found out about this, the other cities would have been plundered as well. After leaving Winterwind, Xianxia simply broke through the void and traveled in 3 groups again. One day later, the old tree arrived at another city, which was as strong as Winterwind. So, Xianxia broke through the void and came here again. Massacre the entire city. The entire operation took less than 10 minutes. After most of the experts in the city were dealt with, the combined battle merits of Xianxia and Old Tree had exceeded 60 million. Half a day later, the Skeleton King also arrived at another city. What happened next was needless to say. At the same time, the news of these cities being attacked by experts spread rapidly. On the 4th day after Xianxia entered the northern camp, a black bird flew into the distant abyss of death and finally landed on the shoulder of a woman in the depths of the abyss of death. This woman was Xianxia, whom Xianxia had met that day. She was also the lord of the abyss of death and the strongest expert in the profound death battlefield. At this moment, she was sitting on a throne of bones, and the eerie white bones around her feet looked very frightening. After the black bird landed, it suddenly projected a scene of a battle. When Xianxia saw the scene of the battle, she trembled violently. "How dare you step into my territory? You're courting death." Xianxia widened her eyes, which were filled with murderous intent. When her eyes of death were defeated by the eyes of nature, she immediately sent experts to the Xianyu tomb. However, it was already empty at that time. She did not expect Xianxia to walk right into her trap. At this moment, Xuanyue's gaze landed on another figure. This skeleton king has advanced to the 1st level of the samsara realm. This is unbelievable, Xianyue muttered to herself. She remembered that the skeleton king was only at the 7th level of the profound death realm after being sealed for thousands of years. However, it had advanced to the samsara realm in such a short period of time. This made her very surprised. Not only that, but the old tree, who was at the 8th level of the profound death realm, had also advanced to the 1st level of the samsara realm. This kid has advanced from the 6th level of the profound death realm to the 8th level of the profound death realm. His advancement is a little too fast. Is the bald man and the skeleton king's cultivation levels related to him? Xianyue could not help but wonder. However, she did not think too much about it. Why not just capture them? She waved her hand and a white bone suddenly formed. Then, she quickly left. After a while, a burly man holding a bone knife walked out. When he saw Xianyue, he knelt down on one knee and said, "Overlord, what orders do you have?" "Go, send someone to capture these people and bring them to me." Xianyue threw the death beak bird over. "Yes, Overlord." The burly man glanced at them and nodded. He then prepared to leave. "Wait, Is there any news about the person I asked you to investigate? Xianxia suddenly shouted. The person she wanted to investigate was her brother, Tianrue, who had reincarnated. Not yet. The burly man shook his head. You can leave now. Xianxia was used to this answer. Therefore, she was very calm. Thousands of years ago, her brother, Tianrue, was dissatisfied with his current situation and reincarnated. Then, she suddenly obtained the Eyes of Death. Her cultivation level rose to 3rd level Samsara realm and she became the overlord of the Xian death battlefield. Unfortunately, Tianrue was only 1st level Samsara realm at that time. He could not determine his reincarnation. Xianxia did not know whether he was alive or dead. Very quickly, another few days passed. Today was the 7th day since Yixian entered the North Camp. In these 7 days, he had slaughtered a total of 6 cities and killed all the experts in the 6 cities. His battle points had exceeded 100 million. Unfortunately, his killing intent value was still a little short of the upper limit. At this moment, he had arrived at the 7th city. If he could do it again, his killing intent value would reach the upper limit and he could then exchange it for devour points. Due to the high-profile massacre, the city had activated its defensive formation. However, this was not enough to stop him. Old Tree, Wei Zhentian, Rib Gu, Luo, let's break the formation. Yixian said to the 4 people beside him. After a period of cultivation, Luo had finally reached 9th level Profound Death Realm. She could finally join the battle. Chapter 15-14. Killing Intent Explosion. Burning Sky Sword Technique. 100-layer Demon Fox Avatar. Purifying Demonic Lotus Flame. Waning Flame. The combined attacks of the 5 of them created a deafening sound. However, the array had been reinforced and their combined attacks were not able to break it. They were quite capable. At the same time, the city lord also heard the commotion and immediately stood up from his chair in shock. He had heard that there were a few bandits roaming around their territory and they had massacred 6 cities in 7 days. They were extremely vicious. The most recent city that had been massacred was only a day's journey away. It seemed like it was their turn this time. City Lord, what should we do? What do you mean what should we do? Defend with our lives. I have already sent a message and the City Lord will send reinforcements soon. However, as soon as the City Lord finished speaking, someone quickly came in and reported, City Lord, this is bad. The Great City Barrier Array has been broken. What? This news scared the City Lord to death. The Great City Barrier Array had been broken? What a joke. It had only been 3 seconds since he heard the commotion. How could the Great City Barrier Array have been broken so easily? It seemed like they were going to be in for a tragedy this time. Fortunately, their family had gathered their wealth and left with the family's geniuses. Even if they were destroyed, they could still make a comeback in the future. He immediately notified all the experts in the City Lord's mansion, and even the 2nd-level Samsara stage old ancestor appeared to wait. Soon, the figures of Yixian and the rest appeared in front of them. They have actually gathered together. Just nice. I can catch all of them in one fell swoop. Yixian narrowed his eyes and the corners of his mouth curled up. This had saved him a lot of trouble. 2 2nd-level Samsara stage experts, 8 1st-level Samsara stage experts, and close to 108th and 9th level Profound Death stage experts. This was a huge amount of killing intent points. In addition, the Skeleton King's Elegy of Souls had also increased to 9%. After this battle, it would probably increase to 10%. Sir, can you give us a way out? After seeing Yixian, a 2nd-level Samsara stage expert could not help but ask. This sentence made Yixian laugh. He and the other party were from the opposing camp, but the other party actually took the initiative to show weakness after seeing him. Your mountain city is also under the command of the Death Abyss Lord, right? Yixian asked curiously. That's right. Hearing this, the expert nodded his head and replied. He hoped that Yixian would let them off on account of the Death Abyss Lord. Who was the Death Abyss Overlord? She was the strongest expert in the Xian death battlefield. Even the other 2 overlords didn't dare to challenge her. Her name still carried a lot of weight in the Xian death battlefield. Unfortunately, he didn't understand the hatred between Yixian and Xianxia. If you want to use the Death Abyss Lord to suppress me, I'm afraid you used the wrong move. Unfortunately, I have a deep grudge with this Xianxia. Today's battle is unavoidable, Yixian coldly said. When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but be stunned. Could this be the name of the Lord of the Death Abyss? It had been thousands of years, but this was the first time they had heard the name of the Death Abyss Lord. However, how did Yixian know about it? However, now was not the time to think about this. This was because Yixian had said that he had a deep hatred for Xianxia. It seemed like this battle was unavoidable. Since that's the case, let's fight. A second-level Samsara stage expert shouted in a low voice. There were 2 second-level Samsara stage experts in the cities that were previously massacred, but unfortunately, they were still destroyed by Yixian. Although the Skeleton King's sky-shattering meteor slash and unicorn's descent had not recovered, Yixian's strength was astonishing. As long as there were no third-level Samsara stage experts, he was not afraid at all. Kill! Yixian did not intend to waste any more time and immediately charged out. Killing Feast. Undying Fighting Soul. A huge battle broke out. This place was relatively close to the Death Abyss, so Yixian had to end this battle quickly. This was the first time he had encountered so many enemies. Even a third-level Samsara stage expert would not be able to block their combined attacks. However, Yixian did not need to block them at all. Death Hunt Order. Eye of Assassination. Yixian immediately kept the Skeleton King and Luo into the planting space. Then he flashed behind a Samsara stage expert and released Luo and the other 2. Rip. After appearing, Luo instantly executed the 7th reincarnation flash and chopped off the Samsara stage expert's head. The amplification of Yixian's Feast of Slaughter also increased by 20%. On the other side, Old Tree used the blazing barrier to absorb a large number of attacks. Then, he flashed into the crowd and exploded the blazing barrier. Boom. Although this explosion did not kill any Samsara stage experts, it killed more than 20 profound death stage experts. These people also increased Yixian's strength by 40%. The battle had just begun, but the City Lord Mansion had already lost so many people. This was beyond everyone's expectations. Die for me! The eyes of the 2 second-level Samsara stage old ancestors lit up. One charged towards the Skeleton King while the other charged towards Old Tree. As for Yixian and Luo, they were surrounded by 7 first-level Samsara stage experts. If it was before, Yixian would not have dared to fight. However, Luo had broken through to the 9th-level Profound Death stage today. With her help, why would he not dare to fight? Facing 7 opponents who were 1 level higher than her, Luo's eyes suddenly flashed. The vital energy in her body surged and formed an eye of enchantment above her head. Swish! The eye of enchantment shone brightly. In an instant, 2 people were charmed by Luo. Not good. Seeing this, the remaining 5 people's faces changed drastically. Before they could react, the 2 experts charmed by Luo launched their attacks. Swish! Swish! After 2 whooshing sounds, a head was tossed into the air. The 2 charmed experts had attacked the same target. Now, there were only 4 experts left. 4 against 4 just right. No, it wasn't 4 against 4. Army of the Dead. Yixian secretly ordered the Skeleton King. In the next instant, the 2 Samsara stage experts who had just died suddenly revived. It was 6 against 4. In addition, there were more than 20 second-level Profound Death stage experts. At this moment, Yixian's strength had doubled. It was more than enough to deal with a first-level Samsara stage expert. The heavens really want to destroy my He family. A second-level Samsara stage old ancestor seemed to have seen the scene of his own death. He felt helpless in his heart. However, this was unavoidable. When they had moved to the Xian death battlefield, they had already expected this day to come. However, they had never expected that the people who had destroyed the He family would be of a lower cultivation level than them. Furthermore, there were only 4 of them. This was unbelievable. Chapter 15:15. Unfortunately, the Eye of Death was not the eye of all creations. The Lord of the Deep Abyss did not have this ability. Moreover, even if the Eye of Death appeared again, Yixian would not be afraid unless Xianxia herself appeared. In the situation of 6 against 4, the He clan quickly died. Then, the Skeletal King used his soul to revive another person. Next it would be 7 against 3. There was no suspense in this battle. As long as I kill you all,
my killing intent value will be raised to the upper limit. When that happens, I should be able to jump straight to the Samsara realm. Yi Xian was very excited because he had been at the 8th level of the profound death realm for a long time and had been suppressing his realm. Today, he could finally break through the shackles. However, just as the He clan was left with 2 first-level Samsara stage experts, a figure suddenly flew over from afar. Stop! When Yi Xian heard the shout, he turned his head and saw a burly man holding a white bone saber rushing over. His speed was even faster than the 2 second-level Samsara realm He clan ancestors. 3rd-level Samsara realm. Finally, a decent person has come. Yi Xian's lips curled up slightly. So what if he was a 3rd-level Samsara realm expert? He had come at the wrong time. He immediately gave the order to end the battle quickly. When the old tree and the skeletal king heard this, their eyes flashed. They had been hiding their skills earlier, but now they had to use them. Grip of the underworld. The skeletal king reached out and grabbed at the void. A strange energy shrouded his opponent. Then, he quickly rushed toward the skeletal king. What? The 2nd-level Samsara realm ancestor was shocked. Fortunately, he was not weak and could slow down the suction speed of the grip of the underworld. He knew that the skeletal king was invincible in close combat. Once it closed in, it would be a tragedy. However, when he was resisting the grip of the underworld, the old tree suddenly flashed behind him with 2 flames. Not good. His expression changed drastically, and so did the other ancestor. Previously it was a 2 against 2 battle, but now it was a 2 against 1 battle. Flaming Sun Lasso. Old tree flashed behind his opponent and punched out. At the same time, he pulled with his other hand, and a flaming chain wrapped around his opponent's neck. Immediately, the scorching flames began to burn the man's neck, causing his skin to split open. With the grasp of the underworld in front of him and the flaming sun rope behind him, it would be difficult for him to not die. Puh! A muffled sound was heard as the flaming sun rope broke the neck of the 2nd-level Samsara stage ancestor. His head was instantly incinerated into ashes. Death. Ding. Host's killing intent has increased. After he died, the distant Yi Xian received another boost. At this moment, his boost had already doubled. The last 2 first-level Samsara stage experts had also died under their joint attacks. Ding! Host's killing intent has reached the upper limit. Ding! Would the host like to clear the killing intent value and exchange it for 1 devour point? Yes! Yi Xian quickly replied in his mind. Ding! The killing intent value is now 0. The host has obtained 1 devour point. Now, Yi Xian had 4 devour points. However, this was not the main point. The main point was that he could make a breakthrough. Ding! Host has made a breakthrough and is currently at the 9th level of the profound death stage. Ding! Host has reached the peak of the 9th level of the profound death stage. 2 more system notifications rang out. To break through from the longevity stage to the profound life stage, 1 needed profound life energy. To break through from the profound life stage to the profound death stage, 1 needed profound death energy. If Yi Xian wanted to break through to the samsara stage, he had to balance the profound life energy and profound death energy. At this moment, he had more profound life energy in his body. Therefore, he devoured and refined some profound death energy. Then, he heard another system notification. Ding! Host has made a breakthrough and is currently at the 1st level of the samsara stage. This was not the end. Ding! Wei Zhentian has made a breakthrough and is currently at the 2nd level of the samsara stage. Ding! Spirit of Ashes has made a breakthrough and is currently at the 2nd level of the samsara stage. Ding! Skeletal King has made a breakthrough and is currently at the 2nd level of the samsara stage. Ding! Wei Zhentian has made a breakthrough and is currently at the 3rd level of the samsara stage. Ding! Spirit of Ashes has made a breakthrough and is currently at the 3rd level of the samsara stage. Ding! Skeletal King has made a breakthrough and is currently at the 3rd level of the samsara stage. Ding! Sky-shattering flowing rock slash is off cooldown again. Ding! Unicorn is off cooldown again. Today, he devoured all the treasures that had piled up into a mountain. The auras of Yi Xian, the old tree, and the skeletal king instantly soared by more than 10 times. If not for the fact that Wei Zhentian was only a weapon, their combined auras would have been even more terrifying. This scene made the patriarch of the He family, who was still alive, twitch violently.
A first-level samsara stage expert had suddenly risen by 2 levels and reached the 3rd level of the samsara stage? Moreover, there was more than one.
Am I dreaming?
The patriarch of the He family widened his eyes. However, in the next moment, he saw a large sword sweeping towards him.
Rip.
The skeletal king, whose strength had soared by more than 10 times, chopped off the patriarch of the He family's head. Now that all the members of the He family were dead, the only one left was the burly man with the white-boned saber. However, before the burly man with the white-boned saber could get close to the burly man, he paused and quickly took out a white bone token from his interspatial ring and crushed it. When Yi Xian saw this, he was not in a hurry to get the old tree and Wei Zhentian to kill the burly man. Instead, he watched with interest. Yi Xian had already guessed what was going to happen next. Therefore, he hid Luo Luo in the planting space. Sure enough, after Luo Luo disappeared, a huge eyeball condensed in the sky. The Eye of Death. Then, a woman's phantom appeared. It was the Lord of the Death Abyss, Qi Xuanyue. You really appeared. Yi Xian looked at Qi Xuanyue's phantom and said coldly. In fact, Qi Xuanyue did not understand the situation. This was the amulet she had given to the burly man with the white-boned saber. If he encountered a problem that he could not solve, he could crush it. At that time, her Eye of Death would obtain the coordinates and descend. Bone saber, what's going on? Qi Xuanyue could not help but ask after glancing at Yi Xian and the others. They killed all the powerhouses of the He family. Bone Saber replied. He had seen it with his own eyes. Then, Qi Xuanyue's gaze landed on Yi Xian and the others again. At this time, she realized that the old tree and the skeletal king had broken through to the 3rd level of the samsara realm. Was this possible? A few days ago, she saw that the skeletal king was only at the 1st level of the samsara realm. Now, he had broken through to the 3rd level of the samsara realm, the same as her. Impossible. What method did you use to break through? Qi Xuanyue could not help but ask. Make a guess. Yi Xian still looked harmless. That manager helped you that day. Let's see how you escape today. Chapter 15-16. Why should I escape? Yi Xian raised an eyebrow. Humph. Do you really think that these 2 3rd-level samsara realm martial artists can defeat me? Qi Xuanyue suddenly revealed a confident look. Although she was also a 3rd-level samsara realm martial artist, she had absorbed a large amount of death will over the past few thousand years. She was invincible among the 3rd-level samsara realm martial artists. You think you can defeat me? Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. Who told you that I'm just a phantom? Qi Xuanyue suddenly revealed a sly smile. In the next moment, her body began to solidify. What? Yi Xian was shocked. Why did Qi Xuanyue's body suddenly solidify? He immediately scanned her body with his eye of revelation and realized that Qi Xuanyue was not a physical body. Instead, she was formed by the death will. How much death will did she absorb? Yi Xian was shocked. It seemed that Qi Xuanyue was not that easy to deal with. Although my real body is still in the death abyss, since you're here, I can't let you leave just like that. Qi Xuanyue's face froze. Then, the entire city began to tremble. Waves of dangerous aura seeped out from the ground. Yi Xian had seen such a scene before. It was when the immortal corpse king was awakened in the land of the dead. At that time, he had resurrected a large number of corpses. You're giving me benefits. Yi Xian's eyes lit up when he saw this. The death will could resurrect corpses and reassemble corpses using severed limbs. If Yi Xian killed these corpses, would he be able to obtain an increase in killing intent? While he was still pondering, the corpses that he had killed were all resurrected. Even the 2 2nd-level samsara realm martial artists stood up. However, this was not the main point. The main point was that there were countless corpses under the city. Now that Qi Xuanyue had awakened all of them with a single move, the people in the city were doomed. A woman's heart is the most poisonous. This Qi Xuanyue is really vicious. She used one move to awaken thousands of years of the dead. Yi Xian felt a chill run down his spine. Qi Xuanyue's will of death clone was nothing to him. However, there were many people who had been revived. What if there was a 4th-level samsara realm expert among them? The key was that killing these resurrected walking corpses, he didn't know if there would be any killing intent points. If there was, it would be a benefit to him. If there wasn't, then he would be too lazy to make a move. Enjoy it. The corners of Qi Xuanyue's mouth curled up slightly as she controlled the 2 second-level Samsara realm experts to attack Yi Xian. Previously, the old tree and the skeletal king had used their techniques to kill the two of them. However, now that the old tree and the skeletal king had broken through to the 3rd level of the Samsara stage, it was much easier to deal with them. In an instant, the old tree and the skeleton king swiftly attacked. Soon after, the 2 second-level Samsara realm corpses were killed once again. One of the corpses was even incinerated, leaving nothing behind. Ding! Host's killing intent points have increased. Ding! Host's killing intent points have increased. When the 2 system notifications rang out, Yi Xian couldn't help but curl his lips. This was indeed a benefit for him. He had profited. Smelly B****, not only did you target me, you even slaughtered your own faction cities. You're really ruthless. Yi Xian suddenly put on an act and shouted. All right, I'll target you. Qi Xuanyue didn't want to leave a record of slaughtering her own faction cities. Therefore, she controlled the resurrected corpses and charged towards Yi Xian and the rest. Haha, you've come at the right time. Yi Xian laughed heartily as he charged forward. Although the duration of the killing feast was about to end, he was still a first-level Samsara realm expert. The resurrected corpses weren't a match for him at all. However, the will of death was extremely powerful. If they weren't incinerated like the old tree, they would continue to regenerate. After Yi Xian killed them once, his killing intent points wouldn't increase a second time. Fortunately, Yi Xian had the unicorn vital energy, which increased the damage dealt to the undead creatures. As long as they came into contact with it, they would be incinerated into ashes. In the sky, a huge rain of flames erupted. All the walking corpses that charged forward were burned to death by Yi Xian and the old tree without exception. The skeletal monarch and Wei Zhentian didn't have any flame attacks. However, Wei Zhentian turned into a sledgehammer that could smash the walking corpses into minced meat. This way, they wouldn't be able to regenerate. Ding! Host's killing intent points have increased. Ding! Host's killing intent points have increased. Ding! Host's killing intent points have increased. The notifications rang out one after another in Yi Xian's mind. It was as though he had turned on a cheat. Not only was his killing intent points increasing, but the soul pool of the skeletal monarch's elegy of souls was also constantly expanding. 11%, 12%, 13%. In just a minute, Yi Xian and a few others had killed thousands of battle corpses. Their killing intent points and the elegy of souls boost had increased tremendously. Seeing that so many battle corpses weren't a threat to Yi Xian, Qi Xuanyue's eyes flashed. She immediately self-destructed the clone formed by the will of death. A terrifying wave of energy swept out, awakening the corpses that were even more ancient. Qi Xuanyue's phantom and the Eye of Death had disappeared. Her original body should be rushing over. As for the burly man, he hadn't left yet. Ribs, go and kill him, Yi Xian said to the skeletal monarch. Hearing this, the skeletal monarch's ghostly eyes flickered twice. Then, it quickly turned around and charged at the burly man. Humph! The burly man snorted coldly. He gripped the white bone saber in his hand tightly and charged forward. So what if it was the skeletal monarch? He was a general under the Death Abyss Overlord. His strength was comparable to the other 2 overlords in the Xian Death battlefield. How could he be afraid? However, he had underestimated the skeletal monarch's strength. After all, the skeletal monarch was a rare exotic beast. When it was at the peak of the 9th Xian Death Realm, it had already killed a few Samsara realm experts. Now that it was at the 3rd Xian Death Realm, it was invincible among the Xian Death Realm experts. The burly man's physique was also very strong. When the skeletal monarch charged over, he slashed at it with his saber. The skeletal monarch immediately wielded the sky-shaking sword and charged forward. 2 super-strong forces were exerted on the 2 weapons. Clang! With a crisp sound, the white bone saber, which was made of an unknown material, was broken by the sky-shaking sword. What? The burly man was shocked. His white bone saber had been with him for thousands of years. It was refined from the dragon bone of the sky-green dragon, a Samsara realm heaven-reaching beast. In the past battles, almost no one could leave a mark on this dragon bone. However, it was broken by a single slash. This wasn't the main point. The main point was that he could clearly feel that the skeletal monarch was much stronger than him. Swish! The burly man's agility wasn't bad. After the white bone saber was broken, he quickly dodged the sky-shaking sword. The whistling sound of the wind rang in his ears, causing his expression to turn solemn. Now, he didn't even have a weapon. How was he going to fight the skeletal monarch? Chapter 15-17. Let's go. The burly man made a prompt decision and turned around to leave. At this moment, the heaven-shaking sword in the skeleton king's hand suddenly enlarged, turning into a large and long sledgehammer. While the burly man was still in shock, the skeletal king smashed the hammer down. Bang! The sky-shattering hammer easily broke through the burly man's white bone armor and smashed into the burly man's body. This hit caused blood to spurt out from his mouth and nose. His sternum was shattered and his heart almost stopped. Damn! The burly man swallowed his saliva as if he had seen a black light of despair. When he saw the skeletal king charging at him again, he gave up resisting and allowed the sky-shattering hammer to cut off his head. Dang! Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. In the distance, Xianxia had obtained a large amount of killing intent and the elegy of souls had also increased. This burly man was the strongest person under the Death Abyss Overlord and his strength was comparable to the two overlords of the other two camps. However, his strength was not enough to deal with the skeletal king. After all, the skeletal king had used the undying battle soul and all his attributes had increased by more than 3 times. Xianxia could not help but smile when he saw the burly man fall. After this incident was over, he would kill his way to the Death Abyss and seek revenge on Xianxia. However, before that, he might be able to reach the upper limit of his killing intent. If he exchanged for it again, he would have 5 devour points. With 4 more points, he could merge the 2 combat bloodlines. When that time came, his strength would definitely increase tremendously. At this moment, 2 minutes had passed since a large number of the dead had been revived. In these 2 minutes, Xianxia and the rest had gone on a killing spree. More than 10,000 people had died in their hands. Moreover, there was an endless stream of dead people and severed limbs breaking out of the ground. As for the people in the city, almost all of them had fled and flew into the sky. Fortunately, Xuanyue's will of death had ordered only Xianxia and the rest to be attacked. Otherwise, the entire city would have been in chaos. However, in the 3rd minute, a few powerful battle corpses finally appeared. 3rd level Samsara realm. After sensing the aura, Xianxia's blood boiled. There were a total of 5 3rd level Samsara realm experts. Awesome! His killing spree was long over. However, with his 1st level Samsara stage cultivation and unicorn chi, he could easily kill a 3rd level Samsara stage battle corpse. If an ordinary person were to expend their vital chi in this manner, they would have run out by now. However, Xianxia had the immortal phoenix bloodline, so his vital chi was almost limitless. Xianxia was too careless. However, it would be useless for Xianxia to stay here. That was because back then, Xianxia had only been at the profound death stage. Therefore, she was still able to intimidate him across space. However, now that Xianxia had broken through to the Samsara stage, she would no longer be able to intimidate Xianxia despite the short distance between them. At this moment, Xianxia had already left the Death Abyss and was rushing towards the city. Unfortunately, her speed was not fast, and it would take her at least half a day to get there. Half a day had passed, and the place was probably empty by now. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. System notifications rang out one after another. The 5 3rd level Samsara stage battle corpses had all been dealt with. At this moment, the skeletal king's elegy of souls had increased to 15%. At the 4th minute, a deafening roar suddenly attracted Xianxia's attention. Immediately after, an unprecedented aura spread out. 4th level Samsara stage. Moreover, there were 3 of them. This feels good. Xianxia could not help but lick his lips. The Death Xian battlefield had only been established in the past few decades, so it was natural that many experts had fallen before this. However, these 3 4th level Samsara stage experts were not enough to make Xianxia feel afraid. Old tree rib, each of us will take one. Xianxia said to the 2 of them. As for the lower level ones, he left them to Luo Luo. 4th level Samsara stage experts were 1 level higher than Old Tree, but these were only 4th level Samsara stage battle corpses. Old Tree was not afraid of 4th level Samsara stage experts, let alone battle corpses. In an instant, Yi Xian and the other two exchanged blows with the 3/4 level Samsara stage battle corpses. These battle corpses had extremely low intelligence and only had the instinct to kill. They did not know how to dodge attacks. Old Tree immediately sent out remnant flames and punched through the chest of a battle corpse, causing flames to spread. Too weak. Old Tree shook his head. He thought that he had found a battle force that could fight, but he did not expect it to be so weak. On the other side, Yi Xian, who had Unicorn's vital energy, dealt explosive damage and killed a battle corpse in the blink of an eye. As for the Skeletal King, it was even more ferocious. It blasted its opponent into minced meat and could not be reassembled. Ding. Host's killing intent has increased. Ding. Host's killing intent has increased. Ding. Host's killing intent has increased. Yi Xian's killing intent skyrocketed. At the same time, the Elegy of Souls also increased by 1 point. At this moment, Yi Xian really hoped that more battle corpses of this level would appear. Even if 100 of them pounced on him, he would not be afraid. High up in the sky, the group was so shocked that they were speechless. They estimated that Yi Xian and the other two had already killed over 10,000 battle corpses. How could an ordinary person have so much vital energy? If Yi Xian was still at the 9th level profound death stage, his killing intent would have reached the upper limit. However, this was not the case this time. This was because the upper limit of killing intent would increase with the number of exchanges and one's cultivation level. Therefore, Yi Xian was still a little short. 4th level Samsara stage battle corpses had appeared. Next would be 5th level Samsara stage battle corpses. As one's cultivation level was high, it would take some time for the will of death to be awakened. At the 5th minute, a 5th level Samsara stage battle corpse finally appeared. Not interested. Old Tree, take care of it. Yi Xian said calmly. Roger. Old Tree responded. Then, he sent out his remaining flames and fought with the 5th level Samsara stage battle corpse. If it was a 5th level Samsara stage martial artist, Old Tree would still be wary. However, it was just a walking corpse and there was nothing to be afraid of. Even so, the Old Tree still took 5 seconds to finish it off. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Yi Xian's killing intent skyrocketed again. However, this time, there were other notifications. Ding! Host's killing intent has reached the upper limit. Do you want to exchange it for 1 devour point? Yes. Yi Xian immediately agreed as his killing intent had finally reached the upper limit. Ding! Killing intent has been successfully cleared. Host has obtained 1 devour point. Another system notification sounded. Chapter 15:18. If I retract some of my skills now, I should be able to fuse 2 combat bloodlines. Yi Xian thought to himself as he killed. The Elegy of Souls alone was worth 3 devour points, but Yi Xian was not willing to retract them. This was because this skill was a divine skill. If stacked up, it could even multiply by 5 or 10 times. This was a divine skill that allowed the skeletal monarch to challenge opponents several levels higher. Although the fusion of 2 combat bloodlines would definitely result in a very powerful immortal combat bloodline. However, he did not seem to need to do so at the moment because the skills were still useful. Moreover, he was not in a hurry now, so he could take his time to devour the devour points. Soon, another 5 minutes had passed. 5 minutes later, the will of death was finally completely depleted. At this time, tens of thousands of walking corpses had been killed by Yi Xian and the others. The buff of the skeletal monarch's Elegy of Souls was directly increased by 20%. One should know that before Xianxia appeared, the buff of the Elegy of Souls was only 10%. It was simply a blessing that it doubled. If Xianxia knew about this, she would definitely be furious. Not only did she not hurt Yi Xian, but she also gave Yi Xian a few benefits. He might as well change his name to Lei Feng. Yi Xian couldn't help but swallow his saliva as he looked at the scene below. The small mountain below was all hammered to death by the Skeleton King. Finally, it's gone. Yi Xian breathed a sigh of relief. After 10 minutes of continuous killing, he was actually a little out of breath. One should know that the immortal Phoenix bloodline could not only recover chi and injuries, but also physical strength. Perhaps, this was because of the pressure in his heart. For a battle that lasted 10 minutes, it was very rare for someone of his level to do so. That was awesome. I really want to do it again. Old Tree could not help but say. Don't worry,
there might be more. Yi Xian smiled faintly. This time, it was only Qi Xuanyue's will of death clone. If it was not for the fact that the will of death was exhausted, there might be more battle corpses. Next time, it would probably be a direct battle with Qi Xuanyue's original body. At that time, Yi Xian would let Qi Xuanyue fight again. Perhaps he would get another devour point. Roar! The Skeleton King suddenly roared. Qi Xuanyue should be on her way here. Let's go! As Yi Xian spoke, he dashed towards the north. To the north was the abyss of death. Therefore, Yi Xian wanted to intercept Qi Xuanyue halfway. After all, the corpses near that area had all been killed. Even if Qi Xuanyue's will of death were to descend again, it would not have much effect. Qi Xuanyue had already come out of the abyss of death, and Yi Xian was heading towards the abyss of death. It was very likely that the two of them would run into each other. Sure enough, after Yi Xian had been traveling for more than half a day, they had indeed bumped into each other. I didn't expect you to take the initiative to come here. Let's see where you can run to today. Qi Xuanyue looked at Yi Xian and the other two and said coldly, "It's time to settle the grudges between us today." Yi Xian said with a carefree expression. Qi Xuanyue had met Yi Xian a long time ago. At that time, she happened to go to the Penglai Divine Land and encountered a wisp of will of death. She then traveled across space to collect the will of death. Naturally, she did not care about that brat at that time. Therefore, she did not recognize Yi Xian at all. However, Yi Xian recognized her. Moreover, Qi Xuanyue had killed Song Qingxing and the other some time ago, which increased Yi Xian's hatred towards her. Therefore, from today onwards, only one of them could survive in this world. That person was Yi Xian. And the one who would die would be Qi Xuanyue. Let's not waste time. Dang! Qi Xuanyue was still angry. Her eyes flashed and an eye of death condensed above her head. Using the eye of death across space would change according to the distance. However, Qi Xuanyue's actual body was here, so the power of the eye of death was at its peak. As soon as the eye of death appeared, an aura of death spread out. Then, Yi Xian's body began to decay and turn into nothingness. Your will of death was useless against me back then. Do you think it will still be effective today? After Yi Xian finished speaking, unicorn vital energy surged out of his body and protected his body. In the next moment, Qi Xuanyue's will of death was useless against him. You are indeed capable. Since that's the case, I'll kill you with my own hands. When Qi Xuanyue saw that the eye of death was ineffective, she immediately took out a white long sword. She turned into a ray of white light and shot towards Yi Xian. Her speed far exceeded that of a third-level Samsara realm expert. Even a fourth-level Samsara realm expert could not compare to her. Her speed was comparable to a fifth-level Samsara realm expert. Qi Xuanyue has lived for so many years. She has absorbed countless amounts of will of death and condensed it. However, she has always suppressed her cultivation level to third-level Samsara realm. Therefore, her cultivation level is extremely powerful. I'm afraid that she can fight someone who is 2 levels higher than her. After thinking about it, Yi Xian immediately gave the order to his 3 generals. Kill! As only half a day had passed since the battle, the Skeletal King's grip of hell, undying fighting soul, and Yi Xian's feast of killing could not be used. However, Yi Xian was determined to kill Qi Xuanyue. Old witch, I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. Take this. Yi Xian's eyes flickered. He immediately marked Qi Xuanyue with a death hunt command. His next attack would deal more damage to Qi Xuanyue. What Yi Xian was going to use next was one of his shocking trump cards. Unicorn's Descent. Previously, Unicorn's Descent and Sky-Shattering Meteor Slash were off cooldown. However, after the killing intent value reached the upper limit, Yi Xian devoured all the treasures he had stored up. Not only did he break through to the Samsara realm, but his 2 trump cards were also restored. Qi Xuanyue's strength was not to be underestimated. Yi Xian did not want to waste time with her and decided to kill her first. However, Qi Xuanyue was not that easy to deal with. What? Just as Qi Xuanyue was about to come into contact with the old tree and the Skeletal King, a flaming hoof formed above her head. She was shocked. She looked up and saw the flaming hoof coming down rapidly. Immediately, she executed her secret skill. Death Bridge. Boom! Raging flames ignited. The flaming hoof stepped on the ground, but it did not hurt Qi Xuanyue.
Ever since Yi Xian merged with the immortal Eye unicorn bloodline, Unicorn's descent had never failed and had never disappointed Yi Xian. However, this time, the first attack missed. That is, Yi Xian, who maintained his Eye of Revelation, realized that Xianxia suddenly disappeared at the critical moment and reappeared from the Death Eye. She was indeed capable. Chapter 15:19. The Bridge of Death had to be used in conjunction with the Eye of Death. Furthermore, she had only recently comprehended it and could only be used at close range. Otherwise, she would have been able to break through the void half a day ago. At that time, it wouldn't be the Will of Death clone, but her actual body. However, this wasn't the end. Don't be hasty, there's still one more attack. Yi Xian quickly regained his senses and once again formed a flaming hoof on top of the Eye of Death's head. This time, Xianxia was already prepared. She immediately retreated after sensing the aura. Boom! The flaming hoof landed and crushed the Eye of Death. After the Eye of Death collapsed, it was immediately incinerated by Unicorn's vital energy, leaving nothing behind. Although Xianxia dodged the attack again, the remaining power of the Qilin's descent had injured her. The Qilин's genuine energy had broken through her defense, and the clothes on her back, as well as her flesh, were instantly burned. However, with the help of the profound life Xianxia was unharmed. What exactly is this kid's vital energy? The damage it inflicted on me is beyond imagination. Xianxia was shocked. From the very beginning, she had felt that Yi Xian's vital energy was very strange. Now, it seemed that she was right. However, she didn't have time to think about it because the old tree and the skeletal king were already charging towards her. Since I can't get it, I'll kill you. Xianxua's eyes were filled with killing intent as she looked at the skeletal king who had broken through to the third level of the samsara realm. All of this was caused by the skeletal king. When Yi Xian saw the old tree and the skeletal king fighting with Xianxia, he couldn't help but think to himself, although this girl is only at the third level of the samsara realm, her actual combat strength is probably at the fifth level of the samsara realm. No wonder she can dominate the Xian death battlefield. The fifth level of the samsara stage was 4 levels higher than him. Based on his current strength, he was still no match for the fifth level of the samsara stage. Therefore, he didn't want to participate in this battle. He just wanted to hide. Dark Night Sky Curtain. Immediately, he used this move and disappeared into the darkness. With the buff from Assassinate, his movement speed and combat power had both increased. He then hid in the distance and used Eye of Insight to observe the situation. On the other side, the old tree, the skeletal king, and Wei Zhentian, who were also at the third level of the samsara realm, had joined forces to fight Xianxia. Xianxua's attacks were very powerful and could kill opponents of the same level instantly. However, Old Tree and the other two had the immortal phoenix bloodline, so Xianxia couldn't kill them in one hit. What about that kid? Xianxia suddenly realized that something was wrong. Yi Xian was gone. However, Yi Xian, who was at the first level of the samsara realm, was not a threat to her. Even if she launched a sneak attack, it would not be of much use. However, Yi Xian did not intend to launch a sneak attack on her. Yi Xian's plan was to let the old tree and the skeletal monarch exhaust the other party. Although they were at the same level, Xianxua's strength was indeed terrifying. If the old tree and the other two did not have the immortal phoenix bloodline, they would have died more than 10 times. In these dozens of rounds, Xianxia did not use any of her trump cards. She was only exhausting her true qi. She was looking for an opportunity to kill everyone in one hit. Old tree, be careful. She has formed another Eye of Death in the sky. Yi Xian reminded them. This Eye of Death was hidden very well and its aura was very weak. Therefore, the old tree and the other two did not notice it. However, with Yi Xian backing them, what were they afraid of? Xianxia blocked the attacks of the old tree and the skeletal king while gathering the will of death. After a few seconds, she could not help but smile slightly. The time had come. Gaze of Death. Xianxua's eyes shone brightly. At the same time, the Eye of Death in the sky emitted a powerful aura of death. 2 strange energies shrouded the old tree and the skeletal king. When they reacted, half of their bodies had already decayed. Humph, this is what you get for going against me. Xianxia was full of confidence and muttered in her heart. Unfortunately, she had always wanted to subdue the skeletal king but had no way to do so. Therefore, she could only kill the skeletal king. In the blink of an eye, The old tree and the skeletal king were turned into ashes. Not only that, but even the heaven-shaking sword was also turned into ashes. The battle ended in an instant. Xianxia watched the two disappear. After a short pause, she was ready to find Yi Xian. However, when she was looking around, two auras suddenly appeared out of nowhere, which gave her a fright. Ding! Spirit of Ashes is dead. Ding! Skeletal King is dead. Ding! Wei Zhentian is dead. Ding! Spirit of Ashes is resurrected. Ding! Skeletal King is resurrected. Ding! Wei Zhentian is resurrected. In an instant, the three of them attacked again and caught Xianxia off guard. Xianxia was shocked when she saw the three unscathed old tree charging at her from afar. She exclaimed, "How is this possible?" The Eyes of Death was her ultimate move. Even a level 5 Samsara realm expert would not be able to withstand this attack. However, how could the two level 3 Samsara realm experts, the old tree and the skeletal king, be unscathed? Ha ha ha, do you think that you can kill us with that kind of trick? The old tree's arrogant voice rang out. Then, he flashed in front of Xianxia and launched an attack. Then the skeletal king, who was holding the heaven-shaking sword, charged at her. "In that case, I will kill you all again." Xianxia did not believe it. She consumed a large amount of Will of Death and used her trump card. Gaze of Death. Two more Wills of Death enveloped the old tree and the skeletal king. In the blink of an eye, Yi Xian heard a series of system notifications. Ding! Spirit of Ashes is dead. Ding! Skeletal King is dead. Ding! Wei Zhentian is dead. Ding! Spirit of Ashes is resurrected. Ding! Skeletal King is resurrected. Ding! Wei Zhentian is resurrected. The three unscathed old tree charged at her from afar as though they had cheated. "Bitch, no matter how many times you attack us, we will not die." The old tree could not help but curse. Death was a luxury to him. Ever since Yi Xian refined him into a magical weapon, he was immortal and indestructible. It felt great to fight with an immortal body. "Impossible, it is impossible that you are still alive." Xianxia widened her eyes in disbelief. How could they appear after being killed by the Gaze of Death twice? Could it be that this was an illusion? That was impossible. "I don't believe that I can't kill you all." Xianxia used the Gaze of Death again. Ding! Spirit of Ashes is resurrected. Ding! Skeletal King is resurrected. Ding! Wei Zhentian is resurrected. Several system notifications rang in Yi Xian's mind. Then, the three unscathed old tree were resurrected again. TSK, TSK, TSK. If this continues, her spirit will collapse first.